So Kyle forced to watch last Sunday's Texas race from atop the pit box while Michael McDowell drove his race car. Then an announcement today that M&M Mars would not sponsor the 18 car these final two races. Kyle Busch and Coach Joe Gibbs meeting the press earlier this morning. Responding to that reaction, Interstate Batteries will back Kyle Busch in the final two races.
There's an opportunity for me to become a better person, to grow, to learn from this. And I'm looking forward to those days. And knowing that, you know, I'm sure I have lost some respect with my team, with my sponsors, with my peers, and I understand those consequences. There's things that go on the racetrack that make you competitive, that give you that spirit, that will to win. And some days when a bad decision's made, it deters from that. So, you know, obviously there's more behavioral issues than there is competitive issues, and that's what I think that's what we'll build on.
There was so much speculation throughout this week. Would Kyle Busch be fired from this race car? Would M&M Mars say, no, we're not going to sponsor this team anymore? Putting Coach Joe Gibbs in a very difficult spot of having one of the top drivers in the sport, but having what is in these days a very valuable sponsor to try and retain too. Vince Welch spoke with the coach just after that press conference.
During the course of the past 2 weeks, did you ever consider replacing Kyle Busch as your driver?
No. No, we did not.
And did Mars have that discussion with you?
Mars is obviously making the decision they made that he wouldn't drive the M&M's car for the next 2 weeks. It was a decision that they made that we support. But there was, going forward in the future, both Mars and ourselves, you know, plan to be racing together for a long time with Kyle. I can tell you this, he's made, to me, we've worked closely over the last year on a lot of issues, and I think he's, and when I say issues, just a lot of things that we've gone through, his marriage, all the things he's doing and things we've talked about, and I think he's, you know, made a real strong effort in his life as he matures, and so I was encouraged by that. This just was a setback.
Finally, Coach, what impact will this situation have on Kyle's truck racing and nationwide racing going forward into 2012?
Well, I think, first of all, we have a large number of people that are working on our nationwide stuff that Kyle's involved with. And then he has his operation also. And so there's a lot of people there. That's our concern for those people. But also, I think what we'll do is just continue to work through that. And whatever his schedule is going to be next year, we'll work through that with Kyle. Kyle will be working with us, and we'll make a good decision for all of our people as we go forward.
Thank you, Coach.
Thank you.
Joe Gibbs, and changes expected in Kyle Busch both on the track and off, but one thing that won't be different, he will be in the 18 in the final two races of this season.
Vince, Coach Gibbs, thank you. As you see the work going on the 18 car in the garage area. Andy, you've been a team owner. Coach Joe Gibbs put in the situation of trying to keep together what is in these days a very valuable sponsorship and one of the top drivers in the sport, and try and find a way to make that work. M&M Mars has said they will be back with Kyle Busch in 2012. Your reaction on that, I'll call it tightrope, that Coach Gibbs has had to walk this week?
Yeah, he has been. I don't envy him at all, the things he's had to do this week, because those are tough conversations to have. But it sounds like they've worked through a lot of that, and they're going to look forward into the future here and make sure that this doesn't happen again. But, you know, it's hard to get a sponsor of that value on your team and then to get a driver like Kyle. I mean, Kyle is probably, like, you know, a top 2 or 3 driver in that garage area. That's very valuable to a team owner. He doesn't want to let that go. But, you know, at some point you weigh these pluses and minuses, and you got to make sure that you know, everybody is getting the benefit. You know, the sponsor gets their benefit. His obvious benefit for the driver is they perform so well on the track, and so the sponsor is getting value from that.
And Dale, for Kyle Busch, we've heard these kind of words before. It would be fair to say people want to see the actions now.
Yeah, I think people do want to see that, and it's going to take that. And I think the word that keeps coming up, and as I've thought about this whole scenario all week long, it's a matter of respect. And Kyle Busch, as Andy was saying, tremendous talent. There's no taking away from any of that. He talked about the competitive spirit as a driver that you have inside the race car, and he has that. And sometimes that works to your detriment in some of the other actions. What Kyle Busch has to do is work through these things, show everyone that he's willing to do that. I think it's great that Kyle Busch is getting the opportunity to do what he does best, giving that chance to show this and make it happen. The one thing that I've thought about all week long is is it a generational thing, but the lack of respect and how quickly some of these younger drivers react to just getting moved out of the way, not even wrecked at times, and the retaliation part of it. And I don't think that's what NASCAR had in mind when they talked about boys have at it. They were talking about good, hard racing, not being able to pay somebody back and tear up race cars and things like that. If you want to argue about something, go do it in the motorhome lot or in the garage area. Settle those things there, but don't go tear up race cars. So that's the thing that concerns me most, is how quickly they react to these type situations. I mean, just immediately, just because they were either bumped or moved out of the way. And so Kyle has some issues to work through. It's great. There's nobody better to have than Joe Gibbs, but Kyle's going to have to work hard at this, and it's great that he's given that opportunity here to do what he loves to do and work through all of that.
And, of course, NASCAR fining Kyle Busch $50,000 and placing him on probation through the end of the year, saying if during the remaining NASCAR events there's another action by the competitor that's deemed by NASCAR officials as detrimental to stock car racing and or NASCAR, or is disruptive to the orderly conduct of an event, the competitor, Kyle Busch, will be suspended indefinitely from NASCAR. So that's the bigger picture. Let's focus in now on Kyle Busch and the other drivers getting ready for this race. Vince Welch, don't believe we've seen this 18 car on the track yet, have we?
They have not gotten up to speed, and in fact, certainly not the way this weekend was going to get started, at least from their expectations as Kyle Busch got back into the car. Listen to this radio.
What'd you have, bud? Motor's blowed up. I went to go to the gas, and it's rough. And then it started losing oil pressure, and I shut it off.
So bad news for Kyle Busch and company right out of the gate. A lot of investigation and inspection going on underneath the hood. And for more on what those guys might be looking for, let's go to the Craftsman Tech Garage. Tim Brewer. Tim?
Thanks, Vince. We use an external pump on these cars as far as the oiling system. You see right here, this is the pump that pumps the oil to the engine. This cavity right here, that's for the pressure in line that goes through the cooler and returns to the engine. We restrict the oil pressure and the flow by this valve right here. We can simply turn the valve up and increase the oil pressure in the engine or decrease it. But what Kyle's concern is, all that oil is fed to the main bearings, rod bearings, and all the engine components in there. And if that engine had a burnt bearing in this area right here, they're going to wind up changing that engine. AB?
All right, Tim, thanks. So we'll follow that story and see if we'll call it cosmic piling on. Has happened a little bit here to this 18 team after all they went through last weekend at Texas. Casey Kane has set the fastest lap so far in the opening moments of practice.
He actually just ran a faster lap yet, the last lap on the track. It's like this track gets quicker and quicker. The more laps they run, the more laps they put on the tires. They say that they just don't slow down, the tires don't, and the track just gets better as they run.
Interesting to me, the track qualifying record for Sprint Cup cars here was just set back in February, and it was a 26.395 second lap. So I would think we're going to see that broken in qualifying here tomorrow.
Yeah, we've seen it broken in practice so far. A 26.30 by Kane is a little faster than that.
Yeah, the problem they're going to have in going really fast in a two-lap scenario is getting some heat built up in the tires, because there's not a lot of grip when you first go out there. These speeds that we're seeing, they get faster as they put some laps on these hard tires. And so how fast will they be able to go out and attack this racetrack in a qualifying scenario tomorrow?
Yeah, that's the thing. A new surface, new asphalt has a tremendous amount of grip in it. But what that does is it really is hard on the tire, so Goodyear has to go and engineer a tire that will withstand that. And when they do that, they make the tire harder, and that takes away grip. So they're kind of fighting each other on that. And like you said, it takes about 4 or 5 laps for these things to really get enough heat in them to have maximum grip.
A lot of discussion about finding ways to get a second lane usable this weekend. The racetrack sure did a lot of work to try and make that happen. They borrow a machine from the NHRA that they use to fix a track when a lane has been oiled down in a drag race. And basically it's almost like a Zamboni for pavement. Scrapes up The old rubber lays down a new coat of rubber. There are rubber belts on the back of this machine that are a softer compound than NASCAR is going to use, but they got the rubber from Goodyear. They spent some 90 hours dragging this around the racetrack, and then a couple of days with Richard Petty driving experience cars with former NASCAR reasonably current drivers like Randy LaJoie, Steve Grissom, and so on, running a softer compound Goodyear in the upper lane to try and make that second lane work. Is it going to pay off? We'll find out Sunday. Over 500 kilometers, 312 miles. Opening practice underway. Phoenix International Raceway. Casey Kane has set the fastest lap so far. 5-time looking on.
Here's to the pursuit of better, faster, cleaner, funner. Here's to the pursuit of a Pennzoil motor oil so advanced, Elio uses it straight from the bottle in his Indy car. Here's to the pursuit of another 100 years of earning America's trust. Not just oil, Pennzoil. Enter for a chance to win at participating AutoZone locations or at Pennzoil.com.
Now hard to reach is never out of reach. The next generation Craftsman Auto Hammer. A new articulating head. Superior access. Only Sears has over 25 Nextech tools now all on sale. Craftsman. Trust in your hands.
People think because I spend all my weekends at the racetrack, my life is predictable. Actually, things are constantly changing. And whether I need to protect my ATV, my truck, a new home, cover my home away from home, having life insurance, or a growing business, with Nationwide Insurance, I can bundle them together and save. You can too, up to 25%. So call Nationwide Insurance today to bundle and save.
Nationwide is on your side. Call 866-500-5555.
When you dine out, you come to Cece's. And when you dine at home, you still come to Cece's. Picking up boxes bountiful in pizza, but never in price. Look who's got life figured out. Right now, carry out 3 medium pizzas for just $9.99.
And slow down.
We're CenturyLink. We're committed to improving lives and linking Americans to what matters most. With honest personal service, 5-year price lock guarantees, consistently fast speeds, and more ways to customize your technology.
On the drive to the national championship, LSU outlasts Alabama, and Oklahoma State survives to move up to number 2. Follow the drive to the national championship every week on College Football Final, Saturday nights on ESPN.
Hey fans, customize my gear.
My gear.
My gear. My gear. Only at the NASCAR.com Superstore.
Well, we're at that time of year where there are a lot of really cool things happening in motorsports. We've got the Sprint Cup Series, second to last race weekend of the year. We'll have a final practice later on today on ESPN2. Tomorrow, NASCAR Nationwide Series Championship building toward its conclusion. 3 Eastern Time, ESPN2. Final weekend for the NHRA season. The Automobile Club of Southern California NHRA Finals. Qualifying Saturday. Finals of this season on Sunday. And then the Kobalt Tools 500 from here in Phoenix, ESPN Sunday at 2 Eastern Time. Jeff Burton has got probably as much momentum as he's had at any time in this season in these last few weeks, and he's currently second fastest as far as quick laps are concerned in this practice.
Yeah, don't you hate to see the season end or start winding down right when you start getting that momentum, Dale? This team really has come alive here in the last few weeks.
Yeah, but it's nice to see that they've been able to get some kind of momentum, even though, again, last weekend, the finish wasn't indicative of how well they ran. They actually put themselves in position, miscalculated on how far they might go on fuel a little bit, but they were still very competitive. And so I know they're excited that they have that opportunity to look at 2012 and realize they're in a much better position than they were midway through this season.
Brian Newman, a couple things going on. There are pictures all over that U.S. Army Chevrolet. The Army sponsorship this weekend, saluting those who served in the Vietnam conflict. Started 50 years ago. They've got pictures of Vietnam vets all over that car who perhaps didn't get the welcome home that veterans of other conflicts did. And Newman and that 39 team joining all of us in saying Happy Veterans Day and thank you so much to all who serve and have served.
Absolutely. I agree with you there, Alan. And just to show a point there, if you saw just as we got on Ryan Newman, he came up on a car that was a little bit slower than what he was. And I talked to some of the Nationwide drivers yesterday talking about how quickly they might come up on someone, but they were scared to venture out of this one groove that we have right now, and they couldn't make the pass. And Ryan Newman, you can see, just backed off and then started his run again as he got himself a little bit of room on the track.
Other small piece of business for this 39 car today. They announced the new sponsorship this morning. Outback Steakhouse will back Ryan Newman as an associate sponsor all season and a primary sponsor for a couple of races.
Great to see Outback Steakhouse people back in the business. I was fortunate to have an association with them starting back in 1999, our championship year, and went through until I quit driving. So really good people there.
A lot of people may not know that was Jeff Gordon's very first sponsor and the first stock car he ever drove.
I remember. I was there.
Yeah, I was too.
Update on the Kyle Busch story, Vince. That doesn't look good.
It is not good. In fact, we noted they did not get a up-to-speed lap in, so they've not even turned an official lap in this practice, and now they've got to change the motor. So a lot of efforts for this 18 team right now. Of course, the Kyle Busch story well documented, and now this is the way they get their race weekend started. Not a good sign, guys. All
right, Andy, so you've prepared a car, you've prepared an engine, you come to the racetrack, and before you get a lap, something's broken. How's that happen?
Yeah, some mistake somewhere. I mean, it could have been, they take these engines when they come in here race morning or practice morning today. They take them apart partially, and there could be a mistake made somewhere there, but it's really unusual. I mean, you don't see this very often, and most of these teams are very diligent about how they do this. It could have been even as simple as a rock getting under the oil pump belt, knocking it off.
Yeah, because basically one of the last things that's done before they would leave Joe Gibbs Racing is that car was on a chassis dyno, right? And the engine was performing fine and everything then.
Oh, yeah. They know when they put the engine in the car that things are good. They verify if they have some checks to do it. I know when I was a team owner, we didn't load a car in the hauler without putting it on a chassis dyno to make sure it's ready to go on the track.
All right, so Kyle Busch not going to get any laps in this practice session. Got another practice later on today. And remember, they had a test session here that they got a chance to run plenty of laps earlier. Kyle also ran in the tire test that was done.
Yeah, this may not be as big a disadvantage as you think because this track is changing a lot while these cars are running it in. So when they finish changing this engine, they'll be able to go out there and make some laps and not have to go through that transition of the track.
I think the only thing is that Kyle Busch would love to make some laps in a race car right now.
Yeah, he would.
It's been a long week for him, and I'm sure that he was looking forward to getting in there and kind of being by himself, everything else, all the distractions aside, just doing what he does.
Remember earlier we showed Carl Edwards, Tony Stewart, kind of right next to nose to tail on the racetrack. I won't say next to each other, but I was trying to figure out the right way to say that. Nose to tail might mean that one was right up on the other's bumper. They were in sequential line on the racetrack. Update on the championship contenders from Jamie.
Well, they are next to each other side by side in the garage, and you don't see that in other forms of motorsports. The two guys battling for the championship side by side, all their crew guys can see what each other are doing. What Carl's saying right now, and you guys have mentioned it, they're nose to tail. He said, I can only go as fast as the guy in front of me. The car seems to be pretty good, and the Carl Edwards we saw get in the car, very focused. He's dealing with the championship pressure well, but he's not messing around, very focused. Now for an update on the 14, let's go to Vince Welch.
And Jamie, it was equally interesting to see Tony Stewart climb into that car initially with a big smile on his face. Certainly looks like he's enjoying the weekend here in Phoenix so far. And hey, why not coming in with the momentum of back-to-back victories here in the chase? By the way, never in Tony's career has he won 3 in a row. This is, by the way, the car in which he drove to victory at New Hampshire in the second race of the chase. Their plan here on the 14, the first hour of practice to run it in race trim and then make the switch over to qualifying trim. Tony says it's a little tight in the initial runs.
Vince, thanks. Smoke headed back out to go put a few more laps and try out the next change on that 14 car. Matt Kenseth is on the racetrack checking out whatever changes Jimmy Fennig has made to that 17. And looks like done checking out those changes.
Yeah, Well, there's just a lot of pavement. That was the thing that kind of struck me, too, is how much more pavement. I mean, they literally paved everything around here that's anywhere close to the racetrack. And obviously, there's only so much racing room that you have right now. But maybe by the end of the weekend, we'll be using a lot of that. And I think that 3 and 4 apron up there may be something that the drivers use a little bit to help a car turn if they're a little bit tight.
Be interesting to see how that changes as the weekend unfolds and as subsequent race weekends unfold here. Casey Kane, fastest in the opening NASCAR Sprint Cup practice so far.
Cut! I have a small part in a big movie. I thought we'd be on location for 3 days. It's been 3 weeks. So I used my City Simplicity card to pick up a few things, and I don't have to worry about a late fee, which is good.
No! Bigger!
Because I don't think we're going anywhere for a while.
Write your story with the new City Simplicity card. No late fees, no penalty rate, no worries. Get started at citysimplicity.com.
I also will my private jet, my island in the Maldives, and full control of the family business to my soulmate, Angel. Finally, to my only son, Chauncey, I bequeath my DirecTV and its vast collection of 6,000 shows and movies.
Everybody loves getting something for free. Yes! Now get HD in every room, a whole home DVR upgrade, and 47 premium movie channels. All for free. Yes! Call 1-800-DirecTV.
Welcome to Las Vegas. Please proceed to the baggage line on the lower level.
Yeah, NASCAR is back all right. Be there when the cars and the stars return to Las Vegas to celebrate another great year of racing. The 2011 NASCAR Sprint Cup Series Champions Week. Fast, fun, loud, perfect.
Heisman hopeful Andrew Luck and the unbeaten Cardinal host division rival Oregon in a high-stakes top 10 showdown with Pac-12 and national championship implications. Saturday Night Football presented by Southwest Airlines. Oregon, Stanford, Saturday at 8 on ABC. College football lives here.
How much did you pay for your new car?
What if you could find out what everyone else paid for the car you want before you bought a new car? Well, now you can. Introducing TrueCar.com, the hassle-free, haggle-free, totally free new way to get a guaranteed low price on a new car. Log on to TrueCar.com. Choose the car you want. First, TrueCar.com shows you what others actually paid for the car you're looking for. Then TrueCar.com finds you an even better available price. In minutes, you'll have a TrueCar price protection certificate that you can print out. Take it to a TrueCar certified dealer near you where you can pick up your new car.
I saved $8,300 on TrueCar.com. TrueCar.com was free.
And we saved a heck of a lot of money.
Took 3 clicks and I knew exactly what I was going to pay for the car that I wanted to buy.
The research is done for you by TrueCar.com.
So log on to the hassle-free, haggle-free, totally free way to buy a new car. That's TrueCar.com.
I just love Phoenix. It's so different than what you'll find in most of the country. The desert landscape, the mountains surrounding the Valley of the Sun, the city, some great restaurants, great places to eat, things to see, and of course, a great racetrack, Phoenix International Raceway.
And snakes.
You got to watch out for those. You can get snake bit.
It's like some of the places I hit my golf ball out here.
Yeah. Green is good. Yeah. Brown is not. They call it Rattlesnake Hill, overlooking Turn 4. Grandstands are sold out for Sunday's race, but seating on the hillside was the old urban legend that they used to have the folks come through and clean out all the rattlesnakes before the race. And
oh, yeah. The first time we came out here, they said they had to sweep the garage area for rattlesnakes to get them out before we came in.
That's fun.
It got my attention.
Yeah, mine too, but I'm not sure it was true.
A little different look to Jimmy Johnson's car, 48.
I like it.
Sharp, isn't it? 5-time champion who has had a phenomenal record at the old Phoenix. Agree or disagree, but there's an awful lot of folks want to say, well, you can't really apply any of those records to this. It's a little different. Is it that different?
One thing you can apply is that any track we go to, that car is going to be good.
Yeah, but to answer your question, it is that different. I mean, as I talked to some drivers yesterday, yeah, your braking points are the same a lot and things that you do, but it just, there's a lot of things that you have to do different. You can get back right here to the gas a lot sooner. You've got a lot more room to come up out of turn 2. Then the roller coaster ride down the back stretch there. And there's banking all the way down that back straightaway, and I think that helps your entry into turn 3. It's actually seems like it's banked more than what the actual turns 3 and 4 are. This is the one place that didn't change much, is the exit of turn 4 onto the flat front straightaway, the only flat part of this racetrack that I found.
Did get you 10 more feet of racing room on that.
Yes, yeah. And that's more, you know, it wasn't like you couldn't pull out and pass before. It was a very narrow looking part of the track, but if anything ever happened there, you had a hard time avoiding it.
The part that's got most people's attention at this racetrack is the exit from turn 2 across that dog leg on the back straightaway. Used to be a very level, fairly flat corner. Now they've opened up the exit of turn 2, and that uphill, downhill, uphill run really gotten a lot of people's attention.
It has gotten a lot of people's attention. This is you can see there, you can get a good idea. It's a lot more of a turn than what used to be there. It was just before a little bit of a turn of the steering wheel. This is, you have to give a pretty good tug on the wheel to negotiate this now. And so it's going to be interesting to see as we get into race time, can they go through there too wide, and how difficult is that going to be?
Well, I talked to Justin Allgaier in the garage this morning from practice yesterday. He said he went to just pass a slow car. He said it wasn't going fast at all. He went, tried to go to the outside through the dog leg. He said he almost crashed. So it's going to be treacherous.
Allgaier from the Nationwide Series, who did practice here yesterday. The question's going to become, is that something that's going to change as either A, more rubber gets worn into the surface and the surface ages a little bit, or B, because of this configuration, is it going to just be that way where getting side by side through there is going to cost you so much time you can't do it?
Yeah, I think it's eventually going to change. Whether it changes throughout this weekend, I'm not sure. By the time we get back here in March, it's obviously going to be some better. I think that the change of the racetrack, as different as it is for everyone right now, a year or so down the road, they're going to be raving about this place. It might not get the best reviews after Sunday. We'll see how it all turns out. But I think in due time, this is going to be a racetrack that's going to provide some excellent, excellent racing.
Casey Kane still fastest. Clint Boyer has posted the 10th quickest lap in that 33 car. Championship contenders Tony Stewart and Carl Edwards are pretty sporty as well.
Heavyweights Tony Stewart and Carl Edwards stand toe-to-toe with only 3 points separating the two drivers in the fight for the cup. Smoke delivered a heavy blow at Texas, winning another big chase race and putting the points leader on the ropes. Now, with just 2 races remaining to crown a champion, the gloves are coming off. The chase continues with the Kobalt Tools 500 at Phoenix, Sunday at 2 Eastern on ESPN.
Whatever happened to best buddies? Now, everyone's got 762 virtual friends. A buddy is someone you'd share your 1800 tequila with. No way I'm sharing this with 762 people.
Here's to the pursuit of better, faster, cleaner, funner. Here's to the pursuit of a Pennzoil motor oil so advanced, Elio uses it straight from the bottle in his Indy car. Here's to the pursuit of another 100 years of earning America's trust. Not just oil, Pennzoil. Enter for a chance to win at participating AutoZone locations or at Pennzoil.com.
When it's your meal ticket, when it's your statement, protect it with Prestone. Engineering lasting relationships between cars and owners since 1927. When you own it, Prestone it.
This is a fire that didn't destroy a home. This is a break-in that didn't devastate a family. This is the reason why. ADT. And while some companies may offer home security, at ADT, we specialize in it, helping to save lives for more than 135 years. We have more monitoring centers, more of tomorrow's technology right here today, and more value, 24/7 monitoring against burglary, fire, and carbon monoxide, starting at just over $1 a day. And now get ADT installed for just $99. This is the computer that didn't get stolen, keeping priceless photos and financial records safe. This is the reason why. You can't predict when bad things will happen, so help protect yourself with ADT. Isn't your family worth America's #1 security company? Call and get ADT installed for just $99 and ask about ADT Pulse, Advanced Home Management, here today. ADT, always there.
This could be a history-making weekend for NHRA and Antron Brown. Brown is fighting for the Top Fuel Championship. If he succeeds, he will become the first African-American in NHRA history to win a championship. But there is one little problem. Brown is not yet qualified. Will he make it? Find out Saturday in our qualifying show.
Saturday Night Football on ABC with a top 10 showdown in the West. Andrew Luck and the Stanford Cardinal put their undefeated record on the line, and they host the Michael James and the Oregon Ducks. Saturday Night Football presented by Southwest Airlines, 8 Eastern, 5 Pacific. College football lives here. That is going to be a good game.
Yeah, you don't want to turn your head there because you might miss a score. It's going to happen often and very quickly in that game. I believe should be fun to watch.
Opening practice for the NASCAR Sprint Cup Series, Phoenix International Raceway with Greg Biffle on the racetrack. 9th fastest lap so far in that 16 car.
Biffle was able to come back last week at Texas and have a pretty good finish at the end. Kind of got off on things in the middle part of the race from his starting on the pole, but been pretty solid here the last month or so.
Biff's had a lot of success at this racetrack. Camping World Truck Series win, 3 Nationwide Series wins. But second a couple times is the best he's been able to do in the Sprint Cup car here so far. Another West Coaster, Kevin Harvick, Bakersfield, California native. Hoping perhaps circumstances can fall his way to get him back into the championship here on Sunday.
Those circumstances would have to be problems for Tony Stewart and Carl Edwards for him to really get back into this thing going into the last race. But boy, with the unknown of this track going in, that's something he's looking at as a possibility, so he wants to be sure he can capitalize.
Kevin, 33 points off of the lead, 2 races to go, 1 point per position. Remember, Kevin has not yet won in the chase, but that big number, worst finish. The bad finishes have been the difference between the guys racing for this championship and the guys who have fallen a little bit back. What about this 29 car, Vince?
Well, of course, that bad finish for Kevin Harvick, 32nd at Talladega when he was just 5 points behind going into that race and then 26 points behind after it. And that's been the downfall for Harvick in the chase so far. Right now, just trying to get the car through the center of 3 and 4 a little bit better. Not rolling the center like he needs it to. Also had been hitting the splitter a little bit, so that's what they've been working on here in these initial runs, Alan.
All right, Vince, thanks. So Kevin Harvick headed back in for another adjustment and another go. Here's Kurt Busch, one of the guys that did the tire test here, the initial tire test on the new surface.
Those drivers I talked to that were here on that initial test talking about how treacherous it was, as is every racetrack pretty much that you go to that first time on a new pavement. But just takes so much time, and you have to run hard enough really to lay the rubber down, but you don't want to venture outside of those tire tracks that you lay down, and it was very difficult, very stressful for these drivers.
While older brother Kurt makes laps on the racetrack, the car of younger brother Kyle is still... Wow, that was...
Not where you want to be.
A bit of an awkward-looking corner there. Back in the garage area with a new engine about to be fitted to it. Vince? Oh, I'm sorry. Over to the Craftsman Tech Garage, and Tim Brewer's got more on what might have gone wrong with this 18.
Thanks, AB. You know, when you come in after a driver on a racetrack says you lost oil pressure, first thing you check is the oil pump belt, but the second thing you check, most importantly, is the oil filter itself. Once you pull this cartridge out, and it's got all kinds of slivers and chewed up metal in this area right here, you have no choice but to change the engine. But along with that, you have to also go back and clean the entire oiling system, because the last thing you want to do is contaminate your brand new engine, have that engine fail again. AB?
Tim, thanks.
Yeah, that's one of the big things they're going to have to do is just, like you said, clean the oil tank, all the oil lines. They'll replace, most of them. See the engine coming out there. They'll probably end up changing the transmission too. But it's You know, when you have a bearing failure, that's one of those things I always hated, because first off, just like Tim said, you got to clean everything because it contaminates the whole system. But the other thing is what caused it, man. It makes you really worry about the new one going back in there if you can't put your finger on what caused that bearing to fail.
A sliver in your finger is not a good thing. A sliver in your oil filter is a really bad thing for a racing engine. So Kyle Busch not making laps in this practice. Brad Keselowski is the Blue Deuce, 25th fastest lap so far on the newly reconfigured Phoenix International Raceway.
The Quicken Loans Carrier Classic tonight at 7 on ESPN.
Here's to the pursuit of better, faster, cleaner, funner. Here's to the pursuit of a Pennzoil motor oil so advanced, Elio uses it straight from the bottle in his Indy car. Here's to the pursuit of another 100 years of earning America's trust. Not just oil, Pennzoil. Enter for a chance to win at participating AutoZone locations or at Pennzoil.com.
Remember when Christmas was magical? When the mailman delivered to the North Pole, and we all had a front row, shoulder-top seat at the parade. Let's get back there. Santa's Wonderland at Bass Pro Shops has what we've all been missing. With the arcades, slot car track, crafts, even a picture with Santa, and it's all free. That's right, free. Time passes. Hold on to Christmas.
Hey, everyone's eating tacos outside Bill's office. Do you think that's some information I would like to know? I like tacos. You invited Eric? I thought Eric gave you the creeps. Oh. Yeah. Hey.
Don't be left behind. Get it faster with 4G. AT&T.
People think because I spend all my weekends at the racetrack, my life is predictable. Actually, things are constantly changing. And whether I need to protect my ATV, my truck, a new home, cover my home away from home, having life insurance, or a growing business, with Nationwide Insurance, I can bundle them together and save. You can too, up to 25%. So call Nationwide Insurance today to bundle and save.
Nationwide is on your side. Call 866-500-5555.
Must have been great to see all those drivers back in the day.
Son, it was. I have memories when I was your age, watching the legends battle it out every week.
Mom, it's here!
It's a top 10 showdown between Oregon and Stanford with Pac-12 and national championship implications. Saturday Night Football, Oregon-Stanford, Saturday at 8 on ABC.
Beautiful day here at Phoenix International Raceway. Temperature in the 70s. A little overcast right now, but still plenty warm and plenty fun for the fans to come out and see the NASCAR Sprint Cup Series in their practice sessions for Sunday's Kobalt Tools 500. Dale Earnhardt Jr., guy who's had a little success on this racetrack in the past, headed back for the garage in that 88 car. You see Junior looking for a little more outright speed where fast laps are concerned in this practice session.
That's going to be important this weekend, those fast laps, because the times aren't going to fall off that much. You're going to need a good starting spot, and you've got to be able to keep that track position if you have that speed.
Yeah, that is one of the things they will be working on, is just trying to get that, like I said, that fast lap, because when you get your car to go fast, it's not going to fall off. It's going to stay there. It's not like other tracks where you say, okay, we're not good at the start, but we're good at the end. When the tires start getting worn and start falling off, they're going to keep that speed the whole run.
See, Junior, as I mentioned, has had a pretty good bit of success at this racetrack. A couple of wins here. Looking to close this season strong and set themselves up to launch into 2012.
He's in a position to maybe beat the top finishing Hendrick Motorsports car in the points. Does he need a win to say, well, it was a successful season, or is that enough? I mean, I think that they've proven that, you know, they are can make this into a team that can challenge for the championship in time to come. But they really need a win. How they getting this car to handle for Junior? Vince?
Well, Dale Earnhardt Jr. started out a little bit too free in this practice session. That has changed.
That was terrible. Splitters on the racetrack all the way around 1 and 2 now, and we're just tight. I mean, just sitting there tight all the way around track.
When you guys are talking about what kind of season it's been for Junior, 7th in points. Remember, at this time last year, he was 19th in points. I know he doesn't have that win, that much sought-after victory. I think on all accounts, you'd have to agree it's been a much better campaign for Junior this year than it was a year ago.
Junior just one spot in the championship behind the 5-time champ Jimmy Johnson. Junior 7th in the standings going into this race. Jimmy 6th. Could well end up being top Hendrick Motorsports finisher in the championship. What's the 48 saying about their practice so far, Jamie?
He's spent a lot of time in the garage so far this practice session. Just before he came back out on the track, he had only turned 16 laps, and he was out of the car talking to Chad Knaus, his crew chief, saying how tight he is, and that's basically what we're hearing from every driver down here. But they made some wholesale changes to the front end of the race car, went back out, and in 3 laps, he's already jumped up to 3rd on the board. And keep in mind, Jimmy has 4 wins here. His average in the last 10, 2.5. I think he knows the feel he's looking for.
And Jamie, and that was one of the things Jimmy was worried about coming into this weekend is that feel. He was saying, you know, when does the track kind of show up to where you know what the track's going to do? The rubber, the burning in of the new asphalt, and so on. You know, when do you get to the point in practice where you know what the track's going to do and then can take a direction with your race car?
I'm not sure that you're going to find that in practice, because I think, as Andy pointed out, this racetrack is going to continue to change throughout the entire weekend as we have races, get more cars here. So I think it's not going to be until we're finished with the race on Sunday that you can say, okay, hey, now I know it. Here's a guy that's figuring it out some, though.
Yeah, that's one thing. Every car I'm watching, just about every car goes faster the next time they go out. This one here, no exception. Vickers is now 2nd and fastest, right behind his teammate, Casey Kane.
And of course, we still don't have a determination on the future of this Red Bull Racing team, and we're down to the final couple of races this season. We know Casey Kane and Kenny Francis are moving on to Hendrick Motorsports, but this group, we don't know what their future is, and yet they're continuing to perform and put some numbers up on the board. And right now, we'll make them 2 of the fastest 3. How's that? Because
just changed again.
There's a new man atop the stack. There he is. Greg Biffle has gone to the #1 spot on the board where fast laps are concerned in the opening NASCAR Sprint Cup Series practice at Phoenix.
Now there's something you don't see every day. A man resisting impossible temptation. In 2 words, endless variety. CC's fresh buffet choices are just steps away, but you've stepped back, letting others indulge. How generous. What willpower. Oh, wait. This gentleman's taking CC's home to his family. Oh, look who's got life figured out. Right now, carry out any 3 medium specialty pizzas for just $9.99.
Here's to the pursuit of better, faster, cleaner, funner. Here's to the pursuit of a Pennzoil motor oil so advanced, Elio uses it straight from the bottle in his Indy car. Here's to the pursuit of another 100 years of earning America's trust. Not just oil, Pennzoil. Enter for a chance to win at participating AutoZone locations or at Pennzoil.com.
The Cowboys travel to Texas Tech, needing just 3 more wins for a likely spot in the national championship game. College football regional action, Saturday. Oklahoma State, Texas Tech, or West Virginia, Cincinnati. Noon Eastern on ABC or ESPN3. College football lives here.
That leaky roof will cost you thousands in repairs, and gushing gutters can destroy your home's foundation. Phil Swift here for Flex Seal, the easy way to coat, seal, and stop leaks fast. Flex Seal fills cracks and holes, stopping the toughest leaks remaining completely flexible. Flex Seal is actually liquid rubber in a can. To show you the amazing sealing power of Flex Seal, we replaced the bottom of this boat with a screen door and covered it in Flex Seal. After a day on the water, the inside is completely dry. Don't call a repairman. That'll cost you thousands of dollars. You can get Flex Seal right now for just $19.99. Flex Seal is perfect for roof repair and basement leaks and so much more. But wait, we're going to double your order. That's twice the sealing power for only $19.99. Just pay processing. Call now.
To order Flex Seal, call 1-800-431-0145 or order online at getflexseal.com.
Opening practice for the NASCAR Sprint Cup Series, Phoenix International Raceway. One of two practice sessions today. You'll see them both here on ESPN. 2 Sunday's race on ESPN starting at 2 Eastern Time. Jeff Burton just went to the top of the board, 31 car.
Yeah, that's the first time I've ever seen a 25 anything at this track. 25.83. Wow, that's a pretty fast lap.
Jamie, how about Carl Edwards?
Well, he just crawled back in his car. He was out for about 5 minutes or so, and he got out and he said, my car is fast. They're excited about it. Tire wear, I know Andy was talking about that. Tire wear looks really good, all 4 corners of Carl's car. He's just been tight like everybody, but he feels the speed already, and that is a good sign for this 99 team.
And as far as the man who is chasing Carl Edwards in the Chase Championship, that's Tony Stewart. Not being very descriptive on the radio, being a little bit holding those cards, and Tony is a card player, so he knows all about it, holding them close to the vest, giving those temperatures as soon as he comes off, but then waiting until he gets to the garage to have that detailed discussion with Darian Grubb. They were fighting it a little bit tight early on, and we did talk about the tire condition. Andy, you had mentioned a little earlier about possible tire conditions in this racetrack with all the rubber down. Not hearing any difficulties down here as far as tires are concerned, and Tony's has looked good so far.
Yeah, every time you come to a new paved racetrack, the biggest challenge is for Goodyear to make a tire that first thing, it's got to be as durable. You got to make sure that you get through the weekend without having any issues with the tire, and that's not easy to do. I mean, this new asphalt makes it a lot tougher to do that. The other thing is to make a tire that the drivers can handle and drive on. I'm sure they've got a pretty decent compromise here, but I would say it's on the conservative side. And I bet you that Tim Brewer has some Goodyear tires down in that Craftsman Tech garage, and he can tell us more. Tim?
Thanks, Andy. You know what we have, we're always monitoring the temperature of the tires. Another thing, air pressure buildup. But like Andy says, when you come to these racetracks, you have to run the tire that Goodyear gives you. Now, we monitor all the depths and the wear pin indicators across here to make sure that we're utilizing the entire surface. But once Goodyear gives you that tire, this is a durometer. That tells you the hardness of the rubber right here. Now, Andy, I'm going to vote with you. It's kind of conservative right here that these tires are a little bit hard. But to get grip, you don't want a hard tire. You want a softer tire. And if we could get this gauge back over here to about 60, now that'd be something the drivers would really love.
Yeah, I know how to do that, but I don't think they would like it.
No, I think that'd get us a big vacation. They'd probably kick me out of the Craftsman Tech garage for even mentioning it.
Yeah, they're not able to tamper with these tires at all.
Not at all.
NASCAR keeps a tight rein on that, so does Goodyear. Every team runs the exact same tire all weekend long, so no shenanigans there. But like you said, you would want to run a little softer tire than they've brought here.
And the decision to go with the more conservative and harder tire choice, it's a difficult one, but you're trying to balance the competition needs with safety needs.
Yeah, absolutely have to. Goodyear has to err on the side of being conservative, because if they don't, and that means the tire has to be a little bit harder than what would be optimal, just because they can't afford to have problems that could change the chase.
Yeah, and you know, the other thing that factors in sometimes out here, and it's not going to be a factor this weekend, but as they looked at making a tire with a new surface here, is the temperature that we can reach at it. We've been out here in November when it was 90 to 95 degrees, really high track temperature, which can create some more heat in the tire. And so this weekend we're not going to have that. The tire is going to beat you hard, but everybody has the same thing to deal with. Who's going to make their car the best on these tires?
Just trying to listen there to see if you lift at all going through that newly configured dog leg. That's wide open, huh?
Yeah, wide open. Yeah, you can't lift through there. Now, it may be a situation you get to racing that if you go to try to make a pass, somebody doesn't give you as much room, you may have to lift in that situation. That's what these drivers are going to have to figure out this weekend.
Do you anticipate some crossover moves as they come out of that dog leg? Let's say a guy gets position on the inside going into the dog leg. Will we expect to see these crossover moves into turn 3?
I think that's what's going to be exciting because you have some banking to lean on now getting into turn 3. And I think you're exactly right, Andy. That's one of the big things these drivers are going to experiment with. And as they go through this race on Sunday, we're going to see them trying different things. Where can they make these passes other than the normal places that we've seen in the past?
Randy LaJoie is one of the drivers who ran around here with those softer tires in the driving school cars this week, trying to wear some of the rubber into that upper lane. He told me you will talk a lot about crossover and slide job in the races this weekend. Check out some of the speeds. Fastest practice today.
We're probably going to see that record broken. I know we've already seen it in practice. I expect we'll see it if they can get the tires up to temperature in qualifying.
So speeds so far as Kevin Harvick goes wide open through that dog leg. 139 mile an hour average for Jeff Burton.
Heisman hopeful Andrew Luck and the unbeaten Cardinal host division rival Oregon in a high-stakes top 10 showdown with Pac-12 and national championship implications. Saturday Night Football presented by Southwest Airlines. Oregon, Stanford, Saturday at 8 on ABC. College football lives here.
Here's to the pursuit of better, faster, cleaner, funner. Here's to the pursuit of a Pennzoil motor oil so advanced, Elio uses it straight from the bottle in his Indy car. Here's to the pursuit of another 100 years of earning America's trust. Not just oil, Pennzoil. Enter for a chance to win at participating AutoZone locations or at Pennzoil.com.
I'm Tom Jackson, 3-time Pro Bowler and 4-time All-Pro.
And I'm Mark Schlereth, 2-time Pro Bowler and 3-time World Champ.
And we want you to get in on the action at Score.com.
At Score, you pay a small fee each time a bid is placed. When the bidding stops, the item sells, even if the price is only a penny.
And now with Score's Own Today feature, you can compete for major discounts virtually risk-free, making Score the perfect entertainment shopping experience.
Sign up at Score and we'll give you $10 in free bids.
Score.com. You bid, you score.
I love it. Do you have financing? Absolutely. We have great rates.
Let's go ahead and check your 3 credit scores.
3 credit scores? Did you know everyone has 3 credit scores? And just one bad credit score can ruin everything.
That's going to be a problem.
So see all 3 of your credit scores now at freescore.com. Unlike other services that give you only 1 score, freescore.com shows your scores from all 3 credit bureaus for free. That's important because just one bad score can cause you to be rejected for credit and financing or pay higher interest rates. So get all 3 scores at freescore.com, plus unlimited access to your complete credit profile, 24/7 credit alerts, and the easiest way to spot inaccuracies.
Enjoy your new TV.
Thanks.
You're welcome.
Get your 3 credit scores today for free at freescore.com.
Free score! Freescore.com!
Because of these changes, the battle for the 2011 NASCAR Nationwide Series trophy is going to be one for the history books. Let's continue by taking a look at some of the new cars that you'll see on track this year. Collect all 4.
Are there going to be any drivers on this tour?
Ta-da!
Can they breathe in there?
The 2011 NASCAR Nationwide Series. Something new around every turn.
Communication, conversation, consternation, concentration, all going on with the championship duo down in the NASCAR Sprint Cup garage. What do we do to this thing next? What do you think about that? What do you think about this? As we run through the opening practice of the NASCAR Sprint Cup weekend here at Phoenix International Raceway.
I'm not sure what all of those words meant that you said there, but I know the concentration part I got.
And these 2 very focused individuals at the top of the point standings right now, both of them.
See, Tony focused on the competition, looking at the lap times on this monitor. It's probably as much him monitoring the track and seeing if it's getting faster as they go, or watch it as much as watching the other cars.
And Darian Grubb looking back through the notes, and let's do this, let's do that. There's Phoenix native J.J. Yaley out there in the 38 car this weekend. Little red, white, and blue on the side of that one, Vince.
Interesting, Alan, with that red, white, and blue scheme, as you noted, that paint scheme designed by a former Marine who's now a quadriplegic dealing with multiple sclerosis, but he designed this car using a computer mouse that he controlled with head movement. It was always his dream to design the scheme of a cup car, that dream coming true here this weekend. And nice touch for Yaley to be running that here on Veterans Day.
Very nice. Nice save, it appeared, down there in the corner for JJ in that 38 car as well.
Yeah, that's the thing. Once you get out of that blacker part of what is right now the racing groove, there's no grip to be had. And you just basically have to back out and hope that you can keep it going in the forward direction.
A lot of cause-related marketing going on here this weekend, wrapped around Veterans Day and saluting the troops and those who have served in defending our freedoms. Brickyard 400 winner Paul Menard. Since that win, yeah, fair to say, struggle has been the story for this 2017.
Yeah, you know, we've seen them have some speed at different tracks and just not be able to put together a full race like they were able to do that day at Indianapolis Motor Speedway. But they do have that. That win gives them a lot to look forward to and going to 2012. Absolutely.
It's a big one. If you're going to win one, that's the one to do.
Interesting when you look at the 10-lap average speed. There's 27 cars at the top of it, but there are only 5 cars that have run more than 10 consecutive laps to get that average speed. Those 5.
Yeah, what happens when you're in this type of practice session, you basically are going to run the car until you find something you don't like, and then you bring it in. And the way everything's changing so fast, I'm sure most of these guys are finding that their cars are getting tighter and tighter, and so they just run a few laps and say, okay, let's free it up and come back in. No reason to run a ton of laps unless you really feel good about the balance.
And the other thing is they had a couple days of testing out here not that long ago. If you've gone out there and your setup that you've started with and your engineers have done the simulation on and so on is close, track position is going to be so important. But you better qualify well, and maybe see a lot of guys working on those qualifying setups also.
And this is a difficult track to spot from, too. This position that the spotters are in is in the middle of 1 and 2, and it just gives them a really bad angle on trying to get their cars and drivers clear off these corners, especially coming off turn 4, because the cars are really just coming straight at them. You can't tell if they actually have got clear.
Yeah, it's a great place to watch the race from.
Yeah.
You can see everything happening right there, but as far as doing your job, it is very, very difficult. And I think most drivers, I know it was that way whenever I was still driving, and I told them, said, you know, you need to be absolutely positive before you say anything to me about being clear coming off of turn 4 and even going into turn 3, because they have to follow the car down the straightaway. And I think that's the reason we've seen some accidents down in to turn 3 here in the past.
Casey Kane been up in the top couple, 2 or 3 anyway, on the leaderboard for most of this practice session. Was in the top spot for a while. Jamie, they must be pretty happy with this 4 car.
They have been. The one thing they mentioned on the radio was how much he was bouncing around early, but they've been working on that, putting some packers in, adjusting the height of the car, and he says it's running better now, not bouncing as much. And I'll tell you, Alan, we've talked a lot about Casey Kane the last 7-8 weeks. Just a matter of time before they get to victory lane. Last week, of course, they finished 3rd, so they're moving up the ladder and definitely have another great car here at Phoenix.
And Jamie, here's why we've talked about them a lot in the last several weeks, because they've been one of the best cars since this chase started. 3rd most points earned in the chase so far belongs to Casey Kane. Behind Tony Stewart and Carl Edwards, the top 2 in the championship who are involved in the chase. Edwards and Bob Osborne talking about what they're seeing in the numbers and the data.
We got ADT because I walked in on a burglary once. The physical damage was pretty bad. The emotional toll was even worse. Our daughter had nightmares. What that robber really took from us was our peace of mind. With ADT, we got it back.
Every 14.3 seconds, a burglary takes place in the United States, so rely on the fast alarm response of ADT. A single ADT system can help protect you from burglary, fire, and high levels of carbon monoxide. When an alarm is received, ADT calls the local authorities for help, and you can get this monitored protection plus great local service, all for just over $1 a day. And only ADT offers a theft protection guarantee.
Take it from me. The time to think about a security system isn't after something bad happens. It's before.
Call now and get one of our best values, ADT's Essentials Plus system installed for $99. Hurry and take advantage of these savings. ADT, always there.
Hey fans, customize my gear, only at the NASCAR.com Superstore.
The Rose Bowl game presented by Vizio.
TCU is going to win one for the ages.
The Tostitos Fiesta Bowl.
Touchdown, Oklahoma!
The All-State Sugar Bowl.
It's picked off. That'll do it.
The Discover Orange Bowl. And the All-State BCS National Championship game.
The Auburn Tigers are college football's best.
ESPN, the BCS lives here.
So you've always wanted to learn a new language, and now you can with Rosetta Stone.
Now enriched with new tools to make learning a language even easier. Introducing Rosetta Stone Totale.
And you can try Rosetta Stone absolutely free. Just call now for your free CD demo.
Rosetta Stone makes it fast and fun to learn a new language correctly and confidently.
现在我会说国语啊. Now I speak Mandarin.
Thanks to Rosetta Stone, I can now speak Japanese with my parents.
Rosetta Stone has helped millions of people learn a new language. And new Rosetta Stone Totale gives you online access to sessions with native speakers, games you can play online, even a mobile app that lets you practice anywhere. Call for your free demo CD now or visit rosettastone.com and get started learning a new language free.
Call 1-800-282-0093 for your free Rosetta Stone demo CD with no obligation. That's 1-800-282-0093. 1-800-282-0093. Call now.
In the Valley of the Sun, Phoenix, Arizona, getting ready for the second to last race of the NASCAR Sprint Cup season. Opening practice for the NASCAR Sprint Cup Series here at the newly reconfigured Phoenix International Raceway. Chase for the Sprint Cup kind of whittled down to a couple of guys, though a few more have an outside shot at trying to get back into it. Brad Keselowski in this 27 car is fifth in the championship. He's fallen 49 points off of the top two. Better than a race behind after troubles at the finish of the last two races. Right now, 27th fastest lap so far. Carl Edwards, championship leaders, out of his car. Jamie?
Well, he's been out of the car a lot, but he did walk by just about 15 minutes ago, and he said, this car is fast. What do you guys continue to work on right now?
I'm a little tight, but the car, every time we go out, it seems like we get faster and faster. I think everybody's doing that, but we're able to kind of stay up there and run well right now. We've got a ton of practice left, so we don't know exactly what's going to happen, but, you know, we're going to try some things right now. 4 hours of practice is more than we'd normally have, so we're going to try some things that maybe we normally wouldn't have time for, and just having fun. The track drives a lot better than it did in the tests. It's a little more forgiving. You can run a lot harder than we could in the tests, so that's good. I think it'll hopefully by Sunday be, you know, 1.5 or 2 grooves, and we can race pretty hard.
So you do see a definite difference since last month when you guys ran here. Tire wear seems to be good, so you think things are looking up?
I'm not sure. Have you looked at the tires? I haven't looked at the tires. So
your tires look good on all 4 points.
I'm glad you've been checking that out. I did notice when you work on the car, it seems to go well, so you can do whatever you'd like, but I think the tires are fine. I really don't know what to think, though. You know what? You don't know what this thing's going to do in a long run. I still think it's going to be a real track position race, and you know that's going to make qualifying important. So we're going to go to that next and see how fast we can go there.
Well, that's good for you since you won the last 2 poles here. Anyone from the pole here last year, Vince?
Standing with Kevin Harvick driving the 29 machine, and what's been your assessment so far in the early going of this practice of how you guys are adapting track-wise with the grip and the second groove?
Well, I think that there's plenty of grip, and obviously the groove seems to be a lot wider than what I thought it was going to be. But our Budweiser Chevrolet, just the track seems to be tightening up as we go, and just got to make changes a little bit faster. So we're going to get our qualifying stuff out of the way and then go back to race trim for the next one.
We keep hearing about the tightness of the track up and down the garage area, how it's getting tighter and tighter. Is that something you anticipate will just reach a certain level and then tail off, or are you going to deal with that throughout the course of the weekend?
I think that's the fun part about this weekend is we don't really know exactly where the tightness will stop or how wide the groove's going to get or anything else that's going to happen. So there's a lot of unknowns for us to go through this weekend, but that makes it kind of challenging and fun.
Yeah, thanks, Kevin. Indeed, a lot of unknowns. That's something we're going to be looking for on Sunday.
You know, these race teams all figure out their world on what they know. It's all a big science thing. Just the records from the past and what happened and when the temperature was this and the tire was that and so on. And a lot of that you just don't know.
Well, that's what they're doing today is they're building that database on this new track. They don't have a lot of data or any data other than the test session they did earlier. So they're building that up, building their notebook up and finding things that work and chasing this track while it's changing.
Jamie McMurray at this point a year ago had won 3 times. This season, he's one of those guys still looking for his first win of the year.
I just haven't found anything for the entire year, basically. It's just like they've searched, they've made changes, they've tried different things. Even days whenever they've had a pretty decent race car, something has found its way in there that they just haven't been able to challenge for wins. Not a lot of top 10 finishes.
Well, McMurray right now looking for some speed in that car today here at Phoenix and still looking for that win. How about 5th fastest, Michael McDowell in the 66 car. After his run, subbing for Kyle Busch last Sunday at Texas.
Now hard to reach is never out of reach. The next generation Craftsman Auto Hammer. A new articulating head. Superior access. Only Sears has over 25 Next-Tech tools now all on sale. Craftsman. Trust in your hands.
When it's your meal ticket. When it's your statement. Protect it with Prestone. Engineering lasting relationships between cars and owners since 1927. When you own it, Prestone it.
Now there's something you don't see every day. A man resisting impossible temptation. In 2 words, endless variety. Cece's fresh buffet choices are just steps away, but you step back, letting others indulge. How generous. What willpower. Oh, wait. This gentleman's taking Cece's home to his family. Oh, look who's got life figured out. Right now, carry out any 3 medium specialty pizzas for just $9.99.
This new AT&T 4G LTE is fast.
Hey, 2 tickets just opened up on the 50. Yep, about to go pick them up from will call.
So 46 seconds ago.
Did you guys hear that Chapman rolled his ankle? It's done. Get out there.
So 12 seconds ago.
Do you guys know how to post videos to Facebook?
Did you guys hear someone stole the other team's mascot? So 27 seconds ago.
Stay a step ahead with 4G LTE, with speeds up to 10 times faster than 3G. AT&T.
Here's to the pursuit of better, faster, cleaner, funner. Here's to the pursuit of a Pennzoil motor oil so advanced, Elio uses it straight from the bottle in his Indy car. Here's to the pursuit of another 100 years of earning America's trust. Not just oil, Pennzoil. Enter for a chance to win at participating AutoZone locations or at Pennzoil.com.
This copyrighted telecast may not be reproduced, retransmitted, or used in any form without the authorized written consent of NASCAR Broadcasting. NASCAR would like to thank all of our loyal fans for your continued support, and we hope you enjoyed today's broadcast.
The U.S. soccer team are desperately short of goals. Could Josie Altidore be the man to provide them today in France? It's a huge test against the former World Cup winners playing at their Stade de France fortress, but a very glamorous fixture indeed. France against the USA, and it's coming up next.
Maybe they were on the left side. Yeah, I see that.
NASCAR Sprint Cup Series opening practice, Phoenix International Raceway. Getting ready for Sunday's Kobalt Tools 500, ESPN 2 Eastern Time. Well, new faces you might see in Sunday's race. Cole Witt been driving the NASCAR Camping World Truck Series this season. Red Bull Racing with a 3rd entry for this 84 car here this weekend. Looking to run him here And at Homestead Miami Speedway to possibly get him approved by NASCAR to run in the Daytona 500.
Yeah, he's really shown a lot of promise driving those trucks this year. A lot of speed and learning how the ins and outs of NASCAR racing go. Big step, though, coming to run the Cup Series here.
Yes, sir, it is. Kevin Harvick, just talked to him a minute ago with Vince, all taped up on a little practice qualifying run. It's 24th fastest as far as quick laps are concerned overall. See what he gets on a mock attempted qualifying. Jumps him up to 10th.
Still a little bit off of his teammate, Jeff Burton. Man, Jeff ran a really fast lap there. 25.83 is going to be hard to beat.
And you know, Dale, just striking visually, you see all the pavement to the inside of the racetrack. A lot of that was grass before, and drivers have said there shouldn't be grass anywhere around where you can get into and cause a problem.
And it did cause problems, and they eliminated those issues. So won't have that to say that creates an issue. I'm not sure that they won't try to use some of that pavement and create some issues too.
If it's not one thing.
Absolutely.
Wow, look at Tony sawing that wheel.
He's got the left front down off on what is the apron there, even though there's not a big transition to that anymore. They'll be using that somewhat. But Tony looks like I don't know if they've done something with his car, but Vince, he's battling it right now.
Yes, indeed he is. In fact, they have been fighting tight in the center. They came back in and just took a bigger swing at it, made shock changes, and they decided if they were going to make a change, they were going to go big because they felt like they just weren't good enough yet. So still haven't quite found it yet on the 14.
Yeah, I think they've tipped it over to the other side. That you can tell that car is pretty free, at least on that opening lap.
Just strikingly different that dogleg is with that downhill run.
It really is a tremendous difference, especially from the driver's eye, too, of trying to go through there. Here's somebody that's had some success figuring this out.
Yeah.
In the UPS Ford.
David Reagan, second fastest so far. Jamie?
And coming into the weekend, David Reagan said it's really important to hit this track from the get-go. You got to be fast, and that's what they're working on right now. They're actually in a mock qualifying run. You see the stickers and the little dots. This is his third run, which is why he jumped up to second. So pretty happy with the car. One of the first drivers we've seen swap over to the qualifying trim. They have another 30 minutes or so to do that. So, so far so good. Once again, 2 weeks in a row for David Reagan.
4 blue dots, 3 orange dots, so their third qualifying practice run. Carl Edwards, 99 car. Heard from him a few minutes ago.
Watching his hands, looks like Tony's crew went down and worked on Carl's car there.
But Tony did go faster after we got off of him, and we're looking at David Reagan. Tony went a little bit quicker, moved up to 15.
He's actually even moved up even further than that as he continued to run up into the 7th spot.
Maybe Carl needs to get Jamie working on that car some more.
Apparently, yeah. Whatever works, the way I look at it. I didn't care who fixed it. Just no matter if somebody got it to where it felt better.
Wow. Down below the yellow line.
Cutting off a little distance right there, isn't he, Dale?
Yeah, you know, it's been a lot of talk, because I talked to some drivers in nationwide practice yesterday. They were talking about maybe getting below that line, cutting off a lot of the track. And you know, this racetrack, when they designed it, the guy that designed it, he thought that through that dogleg they would stay up against the wall down the back straightaway. He didn't really think they would cut that off. So these drivers are going to take the shortest way around, whatever that is. And you can see Carl's getting his left side's way down there.
Very interesting. See how that plays in qualifying tomorrow and in the race on Sunday. Carl Edwards, 12th fastest lap so far here in Phoenix opening practice.
And slow down. We're CenturyLink, a new kind of broadband company, committed to providing honest, personal service from real people. 5-year price lock guarantees, consistently fast speeds, and more ways to customize your technology.
People think because I spend all my weekends at the racetrack, my life is predictable. Actually, things are constantly changing. And whether I need to protect my ATV, my truck, a new home, cover my home away from home, having life insurance, or a growing business, with Nationwide Insurance, I can bundle them together and save. You can too, up to 25%. So call Nationwide Insurance today to bundle and save.
Nationwide is on your side. Call 866-500-5555.
Now there's something you don't see every day. A man resisting impossible temptation. In 2 words, endless variety. CC's fresh buffet choices are just steps away, but you step back, letting others indulge. How generous. What willpower. Oh, wait. This gentleman's taking CC's home to his family. Oh, look who's got life figured out. Right now, carry out any 3 medium specialty pizzas for just $9.99.
Back live, Phoenix International Raceway, opening NASCAR Sprint Cup Series practice. Still to come today, coverage of the final practice for the Sprint Cup cars here on ESPN2. Tony Stewart putting laps on in a long run here, and he has gone to the top of the board of the 10-lap averages in that 14 car. Fast single lap, 7th fastest overall. Now remember, a very limited number of cars have run that 10 consecutive laps, but among those who have, Stewart's fastest.
Yeah, one thing I saw in this run of Tony's is that you have to start that car really free in the beginning of the run to have it where you can feel comfortable to run 10 laps or more. So I think that's one thing that this team just learned, and other teams are going to have to catch up to.
Yeah, if we talk about them fighting a tighter car as it goes on, it's more that it's not that the surface itself tightened up, it's that harder right side tire in particular makes it more difficult to turn in the center as the air pressures build up and everything else. But I would say Tony has to be pretty happy right now, Vince.
Indeed, DJ, and we talked about with Kevin Harvick, in fact, about how he said the track was going to continue to tighten up, and then would it eventually fall off? Well, that's the big question. Well, it seems like with Stewart, as you noted, they started out real loose when we saw him first go out there and how he was sawing that wheel, and then it has come to him and gotten better and better. And Darian Grubb, they made those big changes last time in. It looks like Darian made the right decision.
And interesting to me, that last corner, Vince, that we watched Stewart go through, he went into the 2nd lane in turns 1 and 2.
Not sure he wanted to be there, but you can see Montoya had moved down and let him go. I think he got just a little higher in there than what he wanted to be on that exit. But, that's the kind of things that will help this to move out some. And that's what's going to make these restarts so very interesting on Sunday, is how loose they're going to have to start these race cars out. Who's going to be able to hold that track position, and being in the inside lane is going to be ultra important.
I know that if I've got to hang on to a loose race car, Tony Stewart and Carl Edwards are a couple of guys I'd want behind the wheel.
Got that right.
Dirt racing backgrounds and so on. Jamie, what are they saying about this 99 as we get near the end of our practice coverage?
Well, just trying to free him up a little bit. That's what they've been focused on all practice. You see Bob Osborne and Carl talking once again. They're going to swap him over and do some mock qualifying runs coming up here. But overall, very happy with the car. Says he's fast. 12th on the board. He's turned 37 laps so far. And the thing that Carl has that he feels is an advantage, he's running the Nationwide Series once again. So he's going to be in a race car all day long, getting those extra laps around here on the same tire, mind you. So Carl looking good and excited about getting some more track time.
All right, Jamie, thanks. So, and having fun with it too. So Edwards done for this practice, it looks like. Ryan Newman, 2nd fastest.
I don't know if there's any surprise about that.
No.
But it is nice seeing, I'm sure, with Ryan's experience at this type of racetrack, that we've seen him be fast, and especially racetracks that we go to with fresh pavement. Ryan Newman's a man to watch. He can get a lot out of a car.
And Kyle Busch still waiting to get some laps in his 18 car after the engine problem that they had at the very beginning of practice that has kept them in the garage swapping engines in that 18. So we'll get to see Kyle back behind the wheel in NASCAR Sprint Cup Series final practice that comes up here on ESPN2 today at 5:30 Eastern Time. Don't forget, tomorrow the NASCAR Nationwide Series, 3 Eastern Time, second to last race of the year, final race of the season for the NHRA drag racers. It's the NHRA Auto Club of Southern California finals, qualifying Saturday, finals on Sunday, championships on the line, and then race 9 in the chase, the Kobalt Tools 500, Sunday 2 Eastern, ESPN from here in Phoenix. Up next, U.S. men's soccer, the international match, France versus USA, back for final practice a little bit later on. This has been a presentation of ESPN, the worldwide leader in sports. Jeff Burton quick in the opening practice at Phoenix. The chase for the NASCAR Sprint Cup becoming one of NASCAR's greatest championships ever. Tony Stewart, off a win at Martinsville, goes to Texas where he wins, but Carl Edwards finishes second. And now we come to the final 2 races of the season. This one at Phoenix International Raceway, where Stewart and Edwards will go toe-to-toe on a completely new racetrack. After Jeff Gordon's win here February 27th, they dug up the Phoenix Mile and did a whole lot to it. Removed the old surface, reconfigured the banking in the corners, reconfigured the dogleg on the back straightaway, widened the front stretch, put down a new surface on the track, resurfaced the pit lane. An awful lot has happened between February 27th and this weekend. And now we come to the second to last race of the season with so much at stake. And the Sprint Cup cars are here to test this Phoenix Mile layout for the first time in its new configuration. Kyle Busch in the headlines much of the week. After being parked by NASCAR last weekend, got back in his race car for the first practice session, and then got right back out of it. An engine problem forced the 18 team to swap power plants, limiting their practice time in the first of the 2 practice sessions today here in Phoenix. It means Kyle Busch will have to start at the back of the pack, while the 2 championship contenders, parked side by side in the garage area, went about their business in the first practice with no major incident, just trying to figure out exactly what this racetrack is going to require from their cars to be best in Sunday's penultimate race of the season. Fastest in the first practice session, well, David Reagan was 3rd quickest in that number 6 Ford. His teammate Matt Kenseth turned the 2nd quickest lap, and by the way, laps quicker than the old track record. But fastest of them all was Jeff Burton in the Richard Childress Racing 31 Chevrolet. Burton topping the speed charts in the first of today's 2 practice sessions. And final practice has just begun for the NASCAR Sprint Cup Series for Sunday's Kobalt Tools 500. You'll see it on ESPN Sunday starting at 2 Eastern Time. Kyle Busch out of the garage area and getting ready to go on this racetrack after again having his practice very much limited in the first of today's 2 sessions. For an update on Kyle Busch, we head right down to the garage. Here's Dave Burns.
Thanks, Al. Let's not forget that the look of that 18 car, the green and white Interstate Batteries look, a traditional sponsor for them, but not the one that was going to be with them for this race and for the Homestead weekend. Sponsor M&M Mars have pulled the M&M's logo off of the 18 car for the final 2 events this season, and they're going to start with the 2012 season. They'll be back with Kyle and this Joe Gibbs Racing number 18. The biggest thing for them in this first session, you saw the engine change. They only got 23 laps of practice on the race car. I asked crew chief Dave Rogers, was that enough to get a feel for what's going on? Dave told me in no uncertain terms, it just gave us a feel that we've got a lot of work to do. Like most cars out here, Kyle having trouble getting the car through the corner. Very tight race cars here this afternoon. Let's go over to Dr. Jerry Punch.
Thank you very much, Dave. You know, our 2 championship contenders, Carl Edwards and Tony Stewart, are separated by 3 points in the standings, but only by about 4 feet here in the garage area. If one team sneezes, the other team will get wet. That's how close they are here in the garage area. Now, right now, they're almost identical in terms of their plans for this final 2-hour session. Both these teams want to spend a lot of time working on primarily race setup. In the morning session, Carl said his car was okay, but Tony Stewart said his car very tight in the middle of the corner. In fact, really had trouble getting the car to roll the corner at all. Now, again, 2 words these 2 teams will be talking about during this session: wide and tight. How wide can the groove get in terms of this final practice session, and how tight will the racetrack get? Both these guys right now focusing primarily on race day setup. Alan?
Doug, thanks. And as we look at where the drivers involved in the chase for the NASCAR Sprint Cup scored as far as rank of fast lap in the first of today's 2 practice sessions, you see Carl Edwards 34th fastest lap in that practice session, while Tony Stewart a bit quicker at 11th fastest overall. And in our ESPN broadcast booth at Phoenix with champion driver Dale Jarrett and champion crew chief Andy Petrie. Alan Bestwick, thanks for joining us. So everybody that I talked to down in the garage between the 2 practice sessions was talking about track position, track position, track position. So that means you got to qualify up front. Aren't we going to see a bunch of practice qualifying runs here?
No. As much as you think that they want to get that speed out of the car, they're going to try to find speed out of the race car for what's going to be race conditions. They realize that's going to be of utmost importance whenever it comes Sunday afternoon. You might get that qualifying effort, but if you don't have the speed to stay up there, if you let someone get to the inside of you and you're forced outside, you're going to lose a lot of spots in a short amount of time. So these drivers want to get the cars driving good where they can make sure they keep the competition behind them. We may see a little bit of qualifying type runs here, but it's mostly going to be about who can get the tightness out of the race car through the center of the corner.
Yeah, we saw Kyle Busch. He only got just a few laps in practice, and he was one of the slower cars down in 40th. You need laps on the track to be able to keep up with the track. The track is really changing as it rubbers in, and it is doing that. We see the groove, although it's not real wide, it is taking a lot of rubber, so that the teams are going to have to keep up with that. They're going to have to keep making changes and try to get their car freed up. And I don't think that the qualifying setup is going to be a whole lot different than the race setup.
And somebody who has been fast all day today so far at Phoenix in the first of today's practice sessions, and again already in this final practice, is that 4 car, Casey Kane.
I was looking at the racetrack between the sessions here when the Nationwide cars were out there, and I think one thing that I've seen that really is making these cars tighter in the center of the corner, more so than we talked about the harder compound, and Andy, you talked about it. It's laying down rubber, so it's not like the tire is all that hard, because we're seeing where these guys are running a lot of rubber being put down. But they're not able to arc the car into the corners the way that they used to be able to here. So they're having to drive it straighter in. Well, that's going to make the car tighter in the center of the corner, so they have to keep freeing the car up and to get it to go through the center. So, but nobody wants to venture out there as they enter these corners. The cars are free enough as it is in doing that.
And there's so much speed in freeing the car up and getting those front tires to grip more. You know, with this good surface, the rear tires are really hooked up to the track, so they're just kind of shoving the front tires. The more you can free that car up, the more it frees the car up. It lets it run faster. So you're going to see a lot of teams just keep trying to see how far they can push it. How free can they get it?
And drivers seeing how far they can push it. You don't want to find what over that line is, though.
No, that's the problem. Is they're basically chattering the front tires in the center of the corner when they're talking about it being tight. They're turning, but that right front's just not gripping, so it creates a chatter. What they want to do is get that chatter a little bit to the rear and then find something in between those.
Watching Regan Smith, 78 car, make some practice laps. Regan had the 12th fastest lap in the earlier practice. Right now posting the 7th fastest lap in this practice. You know, it's one of those days where I really don't know what to watch. You know, some tracks, that one fast lap in practice just doesn't mean a whole lot. Some tracks you want to watch the 10 and the 15 lap averages, but because the conditions are evolving so much, and really these guys are making a lot of short runs and a lot of changes and experimenting back in the garage, what's the valid number? What are you watching?
Well, I think that fast lap does mean something, because the cars and the lap times are not falling off a lot. So if the car's fast, it's going to be fast. It's going to stay fast. So I think in this case, on this track, that one fast lap to me means something.
Yeah, and I think that certainly if you're in race trim out there, going to put down some laps and try to make that happen, you need that speed at the start of a run, but you don't want them to fall off so much that then you're going to start getting past as you get some laps on the tires. But how about it, Dave?
Well, DJ, I find the conversation very interesting after listening to Dale Earnhardt Jr. following his first run on the track in this session. He radioed it, I don't know if we're way off or a little off. He's trying to figure out what to watch, too. The main thing is that they were working on the car turning better. They said it was way too loose at the start of that run. But again, hard to judge based on how much the track is changing and kind of where he wants Steve Letarte to get the car, you know what I mean?
Yeah, what we're saying, you know, what you see in these repaves, a lot of times you'll start, okay, we're a little tight. Driver says we're a little tight. Come in, we'll change a spring or two or a few little things. Well, it's still tight, but it went 2/10 quicker. Do it again. Same thing. Car feels the same, went 2/10 quicker. So it's hard to tell just how tight the car is and how big a change you need to make.
Well, there's a lot of things that you can do. We see them changing springs and throwing a lot of things at it. But let's go over to the Craftsman Tech Garage and see if Tim Brewer's got some ideas for us.
DJ, I'm an old short track guy, so when the car doesn't turn in the middle of the corner, what am I going to do? I'm going to move the weight off the front wheels and slide it back. This piece of tungsten, we usually start with about 51.5% of weight on the front wheels, but once we slide that back, DJ, I know when the car burns the fuel off, it's going to transfer the weight from the rear to the front, but what I'm going to do, I'm going to back it up to about 50.7% and see what that does. Another thing we're going to throw at it really hard is a rear sway bar. If you put the bar on there, it's going to make the car rotate through the center of the corner, and with as much grip as this car has got right now from the middle of the corner off, I'm going to let you just do what you can off the corner, but we're going to make it rotate through the center. Guys?
Yeah, Tim's right. I mean, if you got a car that's just inherently tight, the thing to do, and the most logical thing to do, is just make the rear tires do more work. Lessen the load on the front by taking a little bit of weight off of them. And there's enough ballast in these cars that you can make that change and make a significant difference in the way it handles. Doc?
Yeah, just what you guys were talking about and what Tim Brewer was mentioning down there. That's what's going on in the 14 car right now. We told you in the morning section that Tony Stewart's car was very, very tight in the middle. As DJ said, chattering those front tires, trying to get the turn. And because you can't arc the car here, you got to drive it into the corner. Tony was trying to get the car to turn so quickly when he would yank the steering wheel, it would be loose coming up off. Now, unlike a lot of guys like Carl Edwards that gone out and ran 3 or 4 laps and came in the garage area, Tony has been on the racetrack now over 20 consecutive laps and now is slowing down to come on pit road. He wanted a long run at the beginning of this section to see what would happen with the car. They've made an adjustment, springs, shocks, sway bars to try to change the weight and see what would happen with the car. And now Tony has run 20-plus laps. And we'll come in and check tires and come on pit road and make an adjustment.
Now, like that, you know, I'm sorry, making a long run like that and coming in, you see the Goodyear engineers checking the tire temps and pressures. You get a really good sense of how the car's handling if you will run a longer run. The longer you run, the more it will build the tires up in the heat, and it'll tell you just how your car's handling.
Checking the heat across the width of that tire, inside, outside, middle. It's kind of like taking the blood pressure and the pulse and the other vital signs of the patient. Right. Gives you a good starting spot on a diagnosis.
When it's your meal ticket, when it's your statement, protect it with Prestone. Engineering lasting relationships between cars and owners since 1927. When you own it, Prestone it.
And slow down.
We're CenturyLink, a new kind of broadband company, committed to providing honest, personal service from real people. 5-year price lock guarantees, consistently fast speeds, and more ways to customize your technology.
Now hard to reach is never out of reach. The next generation Craftsman Auto Hammer. A new articulating head, superior access. Only Sears has over 25 Next-Tech tools now all on sale. Craftsman, trust in your hands.
Wow. It's even bigger than I thought.
Welcome to Progressive. Do you guys insure Airstreams?
Yep. Everything from travel trailers to mega motorhomes. And when your RV is covered, so is your pet.
Perfect. Who wants a picture with Flo?
I do.
Do you mind?
Gotta make sure this is hot. Okay. Everybody say awkward.
Protecting your family fun. Now that's Progressive. Call or click today.
Heavyweights Tony Stewart and Carl Edwards stand toe-to-toe with only 3 points separating the two drivers in the fight for the cup. Smoke delivered a heavy blow at Texas, winning another big chase race and putting the points leader on the ropes. Now, with just 2 races remaining to crown a champion, the gloves are coming off. The chase continues with the Kobalt Tools 500 at Phoenix, Sunday at 2 Eastern on ESPN.
Hey fans, customize my gear, only at the NASCAR.com Superstore.
NASCAR Sprint Cup Final Practice is brought to you by Papa John's. Earn free pizza fast with double Papa rewards every weekend, only at papajohns.com.
Work ongoing in the NASCAR Sprint Cup Series garage. Laps ongoing on the Phoenix International Raceway Mile as teams make their final preparations for Sunday's second to last race of the season. Got the report on Dale Earnhardt Jr. in the 88 car after his first run a little bit ago. And now he's going to head back after his second run and give some more feedback.
Just take a wild guess, say he's not very impressed with that setup either. He didn't stay out there very long. He was extremely loose that first time.
And we had the report earlier on Kyle Busch and how they missed much of the first practice session. Changed the engine in that 18 car. By NASCAR's one engine per weekend rule, they will start at the back of the field. So we could be looking for this 18 team to be playing some kind of strategy on Sunday to, at some opportune time, to try and get some track position.
Yeah, but first things first, they need to get some laps under their belt here and get this car handling better. Looks like it is a little better than it was the first practice. The limited laps they've gotten in that first session, they were only 40th quick. Right now, he is 14th.
Yeah, and you talk about that strategy. I think there's going to be a ton of strategies that are going to try to be played out. They're just going to have to get themselves on a totally different page than everyone else. When others are obviously going to get 2 tires, they need to take 4 at that time. And even though they may have to bite the bullet for a while and be towards the back or middle of the pack, then they're going to have an advantage when they come the next time everyone has to get 4, they get 2.
Well, one of the problems with strategy on Sunday is going to be that the tire doesn't lose a lot of speed. It's going to be hard to make any strategy moves when maybe the leaders might even come down pit road and not take tires or take 2.
They're going to have to get on just an alternate pit schedule and find a time to stay out and hope it works out.
Oh, and they can get their car fast and pass a lot of cars. There's the other way.
That helps.
Yeah.
I know a guy that came back from a lap down once and won one of these races here at Phoenix.
Yeah.
So it can be done.
Fun. Yeah.
different circumstances, though.
Yeah, but it can be done, as you said.
Here's a guy fast in the practices today so far. Both of them, Dave.
And Alan, of course, he is one of the drivers, like almost everybody but Kyle, who can earn great track position, but with a great qualifying run tomorrow. That is why, after 22 laps of race trim practice, they flipped over to qualifying trim in the first practice, Luke Lambert, the crew chief, told me. They did 3 runs. He was quickest on the 3rd of those mock qualifying runs and are pretty happy with where they got the race car. As far as the race trim goes, just a little tough turning like everybody out here. But again, Luke felt like they got pretty close. And last week, even though they were going for strategy or going for gambling, I guess, at the end of the race, they really had a pretty good race car and expecting, again, similar things for the 31 bunch this weekend.
Jeff Burton ran out of gas, leading with 5 to go at Texas last Sunday. They were trying to stretch the fuel to the finish. One of Burton's teammates at Richard Childress Racing, Paul Menard, out there right now with very solid 5-lap average of the cars that have run 5 consecutive laps or more.
He's only got the 20th quickest time, but times are really close. So, you know, I'm sure that there's a few of these drivers and teams that went out in a qualifying type mode to start this practice. But it looked like he's been pretty solid. His lap times aren't falling off. We saw Tony Stewart make a 20-lap run, and from his fastest lap to his final lap, which was his slowest, it wasn't quite 0.4 of a second that he fell off. And Tony Stewart's probably the best car here in the longer run right now.
So Menard headed back into the garage. Looking at Jimmy Johnson's 48 car up on the jack stands, having some more adjustments made to it. During Jimmy's last run, watch behind this 48 car as he's coming through some of the, well, this particularly that dog leg on the back straightaway and into turn 3.
Yeah, I like his line. It's a little different, but I'm seeing those sparks coming out of the back of the car. It tells me that he's running soft springs and a bigger sway bar to make the car turn.
Yeah, I think that's probably a good idea. And as crazy as it sounds, they're going on a back stretch, but the car's at max compression right there where we're seeing that, more so than what we're seeing into the corners. What's he saying about this car, Doc?
Well, the key word you said there, DJ, is max. So they're in a qualifying trim mode here now with the 48 car, a little extra nose weight, everything you do with regard to qualifying to basically see what they can do for the section tomorrow. And they're going to actually spend the better part of the beginning of this session. They're going to have 2 when they're coming in to make an adjustment now. They're going to go out and do 2 more mock qualifying runs prior to going to race setup, maybe in the second hour of this practice. And of course, Jimmy Johnson, the 4-time winner here, there in Chad Canals, as crew chief, realized that winning here at Phoenix has a lot to do with where you start, because it's so hard to pass here. Really trying to work on maximizing their speed, particularly getting into turn 3. And you saw the car hit the track back here, a little bouncing on some of the travels that got here with all the extra nose weight.
I'd have to say, knowing that they're in qualifying trim, they might not be very happy with that race car then, because that's quite a bit off what we saw Jeff Burton in the first session, and it's even slower, a good bit slower than what Kevin Harvick, about 2/10 slower than Kevin Harvick has laid down here in this session.
A.J. Allmendinger, Richard Petty Motorsports, 43. This has been a good racetrack for him. Well, then there I go again. The other Phoenix.
Yeah.
It was a pretty good racetrack for him.
We talk about the change here, and race drivers are difficult to be happy whenever things change. They like old surfaces and things like that, but they'll adapt to this and make it fun too.
Matt Kenseth talking to his crew chief, Jimmy Fennig, between the practice sessions. And they had a very good car, obviously, for outright speed in that first practice. And Jimmy was one of those, talking to me about track position and qualifying up front and how important it was going to be to get up front, stay up front for the duration of this race on Sunday. That was his feeling.
Yeah, I think it's going to make for Andy, for a crew chief, a pretty long day out here Sunday.
I think so. It's really going to be tough to try to figure out a way to move your car up that lineup as narrow as we see this groove. Dave?
I talked to Jimmy for a second as well, but he didn't have time to take me to crew chief's school, so maybe you can help me out here, Andy, just a little bit. He was saying that Matt couldn't turn the car like most everybody, and I said, how much more room do you have to free up the car mechanically? And he said, well, we got infinite room for that, but all that does is take the back end out of the track. He pointed at the front end. He said, we need that to work better.
Yeah, that's the thing. There's a lot of things you can do to try to achieve balance. You know, like you say, just turn the back tires loose from the track, and then you're not pushing anymore, but you're not making speed either. And that's the tricky part, is try to make the front tires work better without giving up that grip that you have in the rear.
Yeah, as you make those changes, there's always going to be a negative side to it. And even though this racetrack has a new surface, it's still, you can go too far and get that back hung out, and then you're losing speed off the corner. As I look out from our vantage point here, I can still see that where my eye tells me that the old racetrack, you could arc the car into turn 1 more than what you can now. And so these drivers that's creating the problem for them, because they're having to drive straighter into the corner than what they would really like to. But again, nobody wants to venture out that far because it's extremely slick.
Watching Kurt Busch here.
Yeah, you can see him. He's going down into turn 1 there right now. And Kurt actually had his right side out pretty far in comparison to what I've seen a lot of the drivers. And he was able to negotiate that corner a little bit better, but they'll keep inching out there, and before Sunday's over, they'll have a nice groove and entrance into turn 1.
I don't know how reactive this new pavement will be to changes in air temperature and track temperature, but there are the differences between the first practice earlier today and what we've got now. Final practice at Phoenix ongoing.
Here's to the pursuit of better, faster, cleaner, funner. Here's to the pursuit of a Pennzoil motor oil so advanced, Elio uses it straight from the bottle in his IndyCar. Here's to the pursuit of another 100 years of earning America's trust. Not just oil, Pennzoil. Enter for a chance to win at participating AutoZone locations or at Pennzoil.com.
If you have gout and think a few attacks a year are all you have to worry about, think again. Fact is, gout can attack silently even between flares. You may not feel it, but gout's root cause, high uric acid, can allow crystals to continuously form and build up in your joints. Over time, this may lead to attacks in other joints, constant pain, and joint destruction.
So don't wait. Get more information at goutinfo.com and talk with your doctor about ways to keep your uric acid at a lower, healthy level.
My home ain't much, but with the Watch ESPN app,
I could stream one game on my iPad when there's another on the tube. Shoot, all I'm missing is a sofa, a bed, toothpaste, deodorant, someone to tell me I need deodorant, a floor.
Watch ESPN.com and the Watch ESPN app. The ESPN networks, live anywhere.
How much did you pay for your new car?
What if you could find out what everyone else paid for the car you want before you bought a new car? Well, now you can. Introducing TrueCar.com, the hassle-free, haggle-free, totally free new way to get a guaranteed low price on a new car. Log on to TrueCar.com. Choose the car you want. First, TrueCar.com shows you what others actually paid for the car you're looking for. Then TrueCar.com finds you an even better available price. In minutes, you'll have a TrueCar price protection certificate that you can print out. Take it to a TrueCar certified dealer near you where you can pick up your new car.
I saved $8,300 on TrueCar.com. TrueCar.com was free.
And we saved a heck of a lot of money.
Took 3 clicks and I knew exactly what I was going to pay for the car that I wanted to buy.
The research is done for you by TrueCar.com.
So log on to the hassle-free, haggle-free, totally free way to buy a new car. That's TrueCar.com.
Big weekend of racing on the ESPN networks this weekend. Tomorrow, NASCAR Nationwide Series here at Phoenix. 2 to go in the championship. Stenhouse and Sadler still going at it. 3 Eastern, ESPN2. Final weekend of the season for the NHRA. It's the Auto Club of Southern California Finals. Qualifying Saturday finals on Sunday on ESPN2. NASCAR Now pre-race show Sunday morning, 9 a.m. Eastern time. Get you set for the Kobalt Tools 500. Second to last race in the chase. ESPN2 Eastern on Sunday. Final practice ongoing for the NASCAR Sprint Cup Series on the newly reconfigured Phoenix International Raceway Mile. They have just qualifying on Saturday, and then they go racing here on Sunday with someone, say perhaps Greg Biffle, leading the field of the green flag from pole position. Biff had a lot of speed in the earlier practice session. Showing 10th fastest overall lap right now.
Not out here in Phoenix that Benny Parsons discovered Greg Biffle?
Actually,
in the Winter Heat Series?
Down the road in Tucson.
Yeah, not too far from here.
Years ago, here on ESPN Networks, the old Winter Heat Series with the Biff. And the story is that Benny called up Jack Roush and said, "You have got to sign this kid." And Jack said, "Well, if it's that emphatic from you, got to sign, then I better take a look."
Pretty good choice.
The rest, as they say, is history. Clint Boyer, USO, riding on the side of that 33 car this weekend. One of many cause-related sponsorships this weekend, riding on the side, honoring Veterans Day and those who serve and have served. Another Veterans Day-related car, Doc.
Ryan Newman just pulling out of the garage area. And Alan, when you get a chance to walk up in the garage area tomorrow or maybe on race morning, take a look at the side of the 39 car. There are photographs of veterans from 2 world wars, from the Korean conflict, Vietnam, Middle East. I mean, it's some incredible photographs of veterans over the years that have sacrificed and served our country. And what better way to remember them than on this Veterans Day on the side of that 39 car. Now, as far as the car itself, there are some issues going on with Ryan Newman. They have a big time, and the word is used, big time vibration in the drive line. They have changed 3 gears. They have changed the drive shaft, and they're trying to find out where it is. They can't find it right now. They keep going in and out of the garage. They're going to come back in and maybe change something else closer to the engine up front if they can figure out what it is. Right now, some serious issues involved with the 39 car.
Boy, that is aggravating, trying to chase a vibration. There's so many things that rotate on that car. I mean, the hubs, the wheels, the drive shaft, the gear, the ring and pin, all that stuff. And you can change all that with no penalty. But once you start going up to the transmission and then possibly the engine, you change that stuff, you got to go to the rear no matter what. So they're trying to find it without going there. And, man, it sure can be frustrating.
And Ryan Newman's crew chief, Tony Gibson, one of those I spoke with between the practice sessions, who said track position, and expecting he could probably qualify up front with Newman behind the wheel of that 39 car.
I'd say the chances would be good of that.
Qualifying up front, good possibility for Kevin Harvick behind the wheel of this 29 car because he has the fastest lap in this final practice so far.
He did that right off the bat when this session started. He ran one lap, which tells me it was a qualifying lap, and then came back in the garage for a while. And now he's out there for a few laps, probably in race trim.
Yeah, I think so. Jimmy Johnson went back out for another run. Went up to third quickest, but it looked like Harvick's more on race runs right now, Dave.
You guys are right. He went out for one quick qualifying lap. Have we mentioned the fact that you can get your track position by having a good qualifying run tomorrow to start out with?
No, we need to.
And they got that out of the way, and they liked what they saw, so they went right to race trim. But he didn't like what he saw as soon as he did that. You guys know that these runs in race conditions have to start the car loose because they are going to tighten up. But when Kevin went out, he didn't make but maybe a lap and came in. He said, Gil, that's just too loose. To Gil Martin, his crew chief, we have got to tighten that up just a little bit and at least start me where I can control this car.
There's going to be a compromise there on who can start their car the freest because it's going to tighten up in that run, and there will be speed later in the run for that. But can you put up with the car being so loose you can't, drive it the first 10 laps?
Yeah, and that's where it comes into play. Are you making your car turn and rotate in the center of the corner, or are you just freeing the car up and then the driver can't get off the corner? He's just so loose that he can't enter and exit the corner. So that's the team and driver that's able to make their car turn without compromising the entry and the exit is going to be the one that you're going to have to really watch.
Well, the problem is I'm not sure that you can get a car to do all of that. I mean, I know your drivers want everything, but sometimes it's really hard to get a car to do all of that.
Come on now.
Without some compromise.
So Harvick headed back in for a little further attention from Gil Martin and crew 29. Plenty of practice still to go here at Phoenix International Raceway, but Kevin Harvick with the fastest lap so far in final practice.
Only 3 points separate heavyweights Tony Stewart and Carl Edwards in the fight for the Cup. Now, with just 2 races remaining to crown a champion, the gloves are coming off. The Kobalt Tools 500 at Phoenix, Sunday at 2 Eastern on ESPN.
On the drive to the national championship, LSU outlasts Alabama, and Oklahoma State survives to move up to number 2. Follow the drive to the national championship every week on College Football Final, Saturday nights on ESPN.
I also will my private jet, my island in the Maldives, and full control of the family business to my soulmate, Angel. Finally, to my only son, Chauncey, I bequeath my DirecTV and its vast collection of 6,000 shows and movies.
Everybody loves getting something for free. Yes! Now get HD in every room, a whole home DVR upgrade, and 47 premium movie channels. All for free. Yes! Call 1-800-DirecTV.
Now hard to reach is never out of reach. The next generation Craftsman Auto Hammer. A new articulating head. Superior access. Only Sears has over 25 Nextech tools now all on sale. Craftsman. Trust in your hands.
This is a fire that didn't destroy a home. This is a break-in that didn't devastate a family. This is the reason why. ADT. And while some companies may offer home security, at ADT, we specialize in it, helping to save lives for more than 135 years. We have more monitoring centers, more of tomorrow's technology right here today, and more value, 24/7 monitoring against burglary, fire, and carbon monoxide, starting at just over $1 a day. And now get ADT installed for just $99. This is the computer that didn't get stolen, keeping priceless photos and financial records safe. This is the reason why. You can't predict when bad things will happen, so help protect yourself with ADT. Isn't your family worth America's #1 security company? Call and get ADT installed for just $99. And ask about ADT Pulse, Advanced Home Management, here today. ADT, always there.
Through turn 1, it's still Richard Petty wins the Southeastern 500.
This is how a young man was crowned a king. And a kid from Dawsonville finally lived up to his nickname. This is when we discovered just how high smoke can rise. It's where family traditions get started, and other traditions get taken in a whole new direction.
Taking a backwards lap.
This is where names are engraved, not just in metal, but in history.
Not a prettier setting on the NASCAR Sprint Cup circuit than Phoenix International Raceway, set among the desert hills southwest of downtown Phoenix in Avondale, Arizona. NASCAR Sprint Cup Series second to last race of the year, going green Sunday afternoon, ESPN, starting at 2 Eastern. Talking about the paint scheme on Ryan Newman's 39 car, there's an up-close look at it with the car back in the garage area. Especially honoring those who served in the Vietnam conflict that began some 50 years ago. So Tim Brewer in our Craftsman Tech garage has more on the vibration that this 39 car might be chasing down. Tim?
Yeah, like Andy says, you hate those vibrations because you change the transmissions, you change the drive shaft. Right here is actually the way we balance the drive shafts. It's done, you know, on a balancer back at the shop. But anytime you change that, sometimes you change the rear pinion shims. And what that does, it sets right beneath the pad right here on top of the trailing arm. The reason you change the angle of the pinion right here is to gain traction off the corners. So when you go in and put say a 0 shim in it, that's pretty much optimum as far as getting the coast down on the car, but it doesn't do anything for the vibration. So go back and put a 1/2 degree shim in it. That might put this pinion angle just at the opportune time to where it takes the vibration out of the drivetrain. Guys?
Tim, thanks. So Ryan Newman back out on the track now, and see if the latest thing that they've chased down has cured the vibration on that 39 car. Al Brewer sure has a whole lot of tools and toys over there in our Craftsman Tech garage. In fact, that's just one of several elements that it takes to bring these broadcasts alive for you on the ESPN family of networks. For more on what it takes to make it all happen, we decided to go the special correspondent angle.
When ESPN offered me a hot pass to check out their mobile NASCAR studios, I gotta admit, I was skeptical. As a NASCAR driver, I practically live behind the scenes. In the garage, on pit row, behind the wheel. I work with the latest in technology every day. So it's gonna take a lot more than a bunch of cameras and microphones to impress me.
If you guys watch any NASCAR, you know that I like to dabble in television just a little bit. And if you're like me and you love technology, you guys are going to be blown away by the coolest sports studios on TV. So come on in, I'm going to show you around.
Let's go to Tim Brewer in the Craftsman Tech garage.
They change basically anything they want to on the car, but from my observation today, tomorrow they're going to give you one set of tires to post the fastest speed. Mr. Carl Edwards, welcome to the Craftsman Tech garage.
Thanks for having me. This place is amazing.
It's hard to believe that they can fit all this stuff into the back of a Featherlight trailer. It's Hollywood caliber lighting and audio, a unique 360-degree filming environment, and this year they added a pole camera attached to a jib to take you into every nook and cranny of the countless parts and components in here. They've got everything you'd need to put together a championship racing team, right down to their cup-winning crew chief.
ESPN has Tim Brewer here in the Tech garage, and I'd say that's the most important part. It's hard to find a crew chief that can think on his feet, talk on television. You are on the ball all the time. How much time do you have when something happens on the racetrack to prepare to explain it to the viewers at home?
Well, sometimes they're real generous. They give me about 10 seconds. It's all run and shoot, Carl. You just see it and you react. It's gunfighting at the OK Corral.
So when I'm on the racetrack, my day's over, it's up in smoke, and you can tell right away as a veteran crew chief what's going on, but to explain it to the viewers is virtually impossible. So you use this touchscreen to do that?
When you come by me and you're trailing oil behind the car, I'm assuming a rod came down through the oil pan.
The graphic representation of this actual rod is right there.
We've got the touchscreen, we've got the parts, but we've got the drivetrain over here, and that's where you can really get elaborate with it. This is the engine right here that we're so proud of. We've got tapered spacers, we've got restrictor plates.
I've wasted so much notebook paper trying to draw this kind of stuff out. I've been around this sport for almost a decade now at this level, and this is still one of the neatest things I've seen in the sport, and ESPN's bringing it to the viewers every week.
Well, thank you very much for coming in and being a part of it.
Very cool, man. Now we're going to go talk to the pit studio, and they actually happen to be live in there right now, so we're going to see if we can break in, have a little fun with them.
Inside the ESPN Pit Studio, I'm Nicole Briscoe. What did we learn in Chase Race 1 that's setting up for today?
Well, Nicole, the biggest thing I learned is you better have your act together when it comes to fuel mileage. You better know how far that thing's really going to go.
Hey, guys, what's going on? Hey, I hope I'm not interrupting anything.
No, just the show. It's all right.
The pit studio is 34 tons of TV innovation packed into a semi-trailer. To make sure they always get a good view of my car taking a checkered flag, they built it on top of hydraulic lifts that can bring it up 18 feet off the ground, with a window running the length of the trailer with a pull-down gradient that allows the crew to control the lighting regardless of location, time of day, or weather conditions. And we've seen our share of those this season.
I just wanted to come up here and show these folks what you guys do. You're right up here above the racetrack, and there's so much going on. Tell me a little bit about the technology up here.
Well, the lights are the biggest thing. I mean, they're LED lights, but they put off no heat. So it stays very cool in here throughout the day. And with HD TV, it helps highlight my ugly mug.
The camera's another thing, Carl. I mean, we got 3 cameras here. They're all on a track that can move back and forth. And I got camera 51 that I'm on most of the time.
It's the only studio in the world operating with unmanned cameras, which are controlled from the booth to the side of the set. That makes room for a beautiful HD desk that can seat up to 5 people. Because most of the time when they have guests up here, they've actually been invited.
What do you look for when you bring the guests up here? What do you try to get across to the viewers?
Well, it's nice to put someone in the driver's seat. You know, we get to sit down with this amazing view of the track and we get to see everything unfold. But when you come in and join us, it puts the viewers in your seat.
In the pit studio with Dale Jarrett, Andy Petrie, and Carl Edwards, who had enough fuel to make the finish.
It's a bird's eye view from not only up here, but inside the car, and that's not something that you get most of the time.
Well, you guys do an amazing job every week. I'll let you guys get back to work.
Thanks for coming, man.
All right, have a good one. See you.
Yeah.
See you, Nicole.
Well, thanks for the hot pass, ESPN. Every week while I'm out there on the track, you're bringing the greatest technology in sports television right into people's living rooms. Maybe I'll see if I can take a piece of it home for myself.
I mean, look at this. Think I can get one of these in my living room, man? All right, see you, man.
Wonder if Brewer made Carl go through a metal detector when he left the tech garage to make sure he left all of his parts there. Pit Studio had to find a new home here at Phoenix with the reconstruction of Turn 2. How about up on the side of the hill over there overlooking the whole thing?
They have the best seats in the house right there.
That's pretty spectacular. Tech garage sitting there waiting to go to work at a moment's notice. And 150 people and $50 million worth of equipment all sitting ready to bring you Sunday's second to last race in the chase for the NASCAR Sprint Cup from here in Phoenix.
People think because I spend all my weekends at the racetrack, my life is predictable. Actually, things are constantly changing. And whether I need to protect my ATV, my truck, a new home, cover my home away from home, having life insurance, or a growing business, with Nationwide Insurance, I can bundle them together and save. You can too, up to 25%. So call Nationwide Insurance today to bundle and save.
Nationwide is on your side. Call 866-500-5555.
I'd love a new car, but how do I get rid of this one?
So let's think about this. It makes perfect sense that the best place to find a car is also the best place to sell one, Autotrader.com. I mean, everyone knows that Autotrader.com and their ginormous quantity of serious shoppers is the place to go to sell a car. But if you're looking to trade one in, you've got to go to Autotrader.com's trade-in marketplace. You'll get an offer on your car that's 100% backed by Autotrader.com. And it's free. Fill in some information about your vehicle and get your offer today. Simply have a participating dealer verify your information and then use that offer to trade in your car or walk off with a nice fat check. It's that easy. So what are you waiting for? Imagine having an offer in your hands before you walk into a dealership. Get your 100% backed offer today at Autotrader.com, the ultimate automotive marketplace. Trade-in marketplace is also available at KellyBlueBooksKBB.com.
Welcome to an exclusive tour of the 2011 NASCAR Nationwide Series. We have big changes to discuss and new faces to meet. But first, we're going to take a look at some of the new cars hustling their way into the series.
Just traded some serious paint with that Mustang.
These are some of the new faces that I mentioned earlier. Of course, their faces aren't always this angry looking.
The 2011 NASCAR Nationwide Series. Something new around every turn.
We parked the bus in one of the best places in sport. Lambeau Field, Green Bay, Wisconsin, the undefeated Super Bowl champion Packers.
14 straight wins. That Packer crowd will be rocking. Only thing I can't remember Green Bay doing is going undefeated, but they just might.
Maybe they won't. Division rivalry. Minnesota Vikings, a week off, they'll be ready to roll in this matchup.
Phoenix International Raceway in final practice for the NASCAR Sprint Cup Series. Heading up to Sunday's second to last race of the season. Tremendous chase for the NASCAR Sprint Cup. Tony Stewart, Carl Edwards going toe-to-toe at Phoenix last Sunday, and now down to the final couple of races of the year, and a big, big test on this newly reconfigured Phoenix Mile come Sunday afternoon. Kevin Harvick, fastest so far in final practice, back out for another go.
It looks like he's trying to put together some laps out here, string of laps at a time. See what he can figure out with this Chevrolet. If he can, the car's going to stay under, not only be fast, but have something that he can have to go the distance on fuel-wise whenever we get here on Sunday.
Where's that transition in handling from the beginning of the run to the end of the run? We've heard a lot of guys talk about starting off loose and getting tight, and where is that swing point, and where's that point where Jimmy Johnson stops throwing up all those sparks? Maybe we're not going to see that point. Doc?
Yeah, exactly, Alan. This is the final. They have, since this session began 45 minutes ago, they have been totally in qualifying trim, and this is their final attempt at a qualifying setup. And you saw a moment ago in the corner there when he comes in the 3 that the sparks fly off the front and side of the car. They've made major adjustments there. Again, you see sparks flying to try to get the car trimmed for qualifying. Here's what Jimmy had to say on the radio.
I was up a little higher, and my conditions were better in 1. I was a little loose that first lap. I was loose that first lap committing to the throttle. First time I've seen that, kind of in that part of the throttle area in 3 and 4.
So pretty good feedback from Jimmy Johnson, who's won here 4 times, but right now they've spent this entire session thus far on qualifying trim. A couple more laps, they're going to come in, switch it back over, and then focus for the final hour or so on race trim for Sunday. He's coming in now.
Posted a pretty good lap there, Doc. Jimmy second fastest so far in this session.
Crew chief, if you get that thing quit dragging, he might be the quickest thing out there.
Yeah, but maybe that's why it's running fast.
Other side of the spectrum, from Jimmy Johnson, second fastest, Dale Earnhardt Jr.
Ouch.
41st fastest right now.
Got some work to do. And he probably hasn't made a qualifying type run.
Whoa, look at that.
Probably doesn't want to if it's handling like that. Dave?
A couple of runs ago, he was talking about the right rear feeling numb, like it needed air, and the left front and the right front chattering through the middle. It hasn't been a picnic so far for the Mountain Dew Chevrolet.
I guess.
Man, we come on in. We'll keep working on it. Come on in.
Steve Letarte, the crew chief there. Dale Earnhardt Jr., when asked the other day in a teleconference for NASCAR about how he felt about this season, said that this was the first year in his career where he went an entire season without some sort of disagreement with the crew chief. Said they'd had discussions about the car, but never really got to really fussing about it. And he said, I'm happy to give all the credit to Steve. He felt like establishing that relationship this year was a big, big thing and gave them something to look forward to next year with.
Yeah, Steve Letarte's just a real good people person, and I think they have really meshed well with their chemistry. And at times, they've had a really fast car.
David Ruderman, 00. One of the drivers with a lot on the line and no set place in the NASCAR Sprint Cup field for 2012.
Well, it's never a good time to get that notice that you're losing your ride, but at the end of the year, it couldn't have come at a worse time. That just there's so few opportunities out there unless you have a sponsor at your disposal that you can take somewhere. A lot of people are looking for those dollars. Very talented race driver, but maybe on the outside looking in.
Barring some unexpected developments over this winter where we find out about some new teams or some new sponsors that really haven't made their presence known yet, we are going to have one of those, and pardon the use of the pun here, but games of musical chairs at the end of this season, where when the music stops and the green flag waves for the start of next season, there are going to be some people still standing.
Yeah, it's one of the unfortunate sides of this business that sometimes your talent doesn't always get you there and keep you there. And I know that there are certainly races and times that David wished that he could have done a little bit better, but he's been right there, very loyal to this Michael Waltrip Racing organization from the very start when things were very, very difficult, and he hung right in there. But tough decisions have to be made at times.
And in a scene where sponsors are hard to find and instant results are what everybody wants or needs, sometimes changes get made.
Yep. What have you done for me lately? That's a lot of this business.
Lately, Casey Kane has been running really, really well in this 4-car. Certainly no one will point their fingers at he and Kenny Francis and say they didn't stay with it right to the end in their time of association with this team.
Check out this top 10. There you got Scott Speed in 4th, Cole Witt 6th, Michael McDowell, David Strimmy in the top 10, Robbie Gordon. Give him a call.
5 of those top 10 are drivers that need to qualify on time when the qualifying session is held here on Saturday at Phoenix International Raceway.
Remember when Christmas was magical? When we all had a front row, shoulder top seat at the parade? Let's get back there. Santa's Wonderland at Bass Pro Shops has what we've all been missing, with the arcades, crafts, even a picture with Santa, and it's all free. That's right, free. Time passes. Hold on to Christmas. This week, use your Bass Pro Shops Outdoor Rewards Visa card and save 10% plus earn double points on your entire purchase.
The Super Bowl, the most epic day in America, and the end of a journey that began here, when the swipe of a Visa card gave one man a chance to bring happiness to 10 friends and humiliation to one.
If you want this ticket, I need you to wear this helmet. I'm not going to do it. I'm not going to do it. I'm not going to do it.
Use your Visa card for a chance to win. To see more of the story, visit our Facebook page.
My home ain't much, but with the Watch ESPN app, I could stream one game on my iPad when there's another on the tube. Shoot, all I'm missing is a sofa, a bed, toothpaste, deodorant, someone to tell me I need deodorant, a floor.
Watch ESPN.com and the Watch ESPN app. The ESPN networks, live anywhere.
I've been one of those safeties.
If you like video games, you need to be a member of GameFly.
Join GameFly. Choose the games you want online, get them in the mail, and send them back when you're done.
Due dates? None. Late fees? Non-existent.
I have access to every single game I could possibly imagine, and I get it for a low cost.
Go to GameFly.com now. Click the joystick in the top right corner. Enter World in the box and get started with a free extended trial. And remember, you can cancel at any time. Product shown rated E through M.
You have to have this service. You call yourself a gamer, you have to have it.
Got a good one for you on Saturday Night Football on ABC. It's a top 10 showdown in the West. Andrew Luck and the Stanford Cardinals with their undefeated record on the line, hosting LaMichael James and the Oregon Ducks. Saturday Night Football, presented by Southwest Airlines, 8 Eastern, 5 Pacific. College football lives here.
Yeah, Stanford needs a win there to stay in the title hunt.
Who you taking?
Yeah, I like Stanford. Yeah, even though Oregon can score in a hurry, I think Andrew Luck is the best quarterback out there.
Kyle Busch documented earlier about the limited practice in the first session, the engine change. What kind of progress they making on this 18 car, Doc?
Well, they were really behind the 8 balls. You mentioned they only ran 22 laps in the first session this morning. It was at the very end of that session. Didn't get a chance to look at the car very much. They went out at the beginning of this session, Alan, and the car was actually very, very free throughout the corner. Actually, too free. They came in, made an adjustment, and now you see Dave Rogers on the left side of your screen. The car was actually tight in the center. Needed to roll the corners better in 3 and 4. They came back in and made a bar adjustment in the back of the car. And Andy Petrie, when they did that in the back of the car, obviously you got to put the car on the scales and check the cross weights to try to get the car where it will turn without messing something else up pretty significantly. But you can answer in a moment. Let's check in with Dave down in the garage area. Dave?
Yeah, thanks, Doc. We'll get over to Andy in just a second. Wanted to update you on the 2 car of Brad Keselowski. Those early runs were all qualifying trim runs for him. They did take one in the first practice session, but wanted to start this session trying to get that mock qualifying lap down so they knew what to expect tomorrow. He's fairly satisfied. They wanted to go back to one of their earlier runs as opposed to the final qualifying run they took to get the best data that the feedback that Brad received from the race car. He took a quick break. They switched the car over, and now they'll make some of those long runs, see what the race runs might look like. Dr. Punch, back over to you. And
let's check in on Ryan Newman here in the Army car, the Chevrolet. We told you about the vibration that they were having issues with, a significant driveline vibration. They had changed 3 gears. They changed the drive shaft and changed the pitch in the back of the car a little bit in the rear end. And what we're being told now, Tony Gibson and guys, is the vibration is much improved. You see Ryan Newman climbing out of the car. They're going to make, I think they're going to change over to a qualifying trim setup here. But they said it is much improved. In fact, Ryan Newman said it is actually a raceable vibration right now. And I got to wonder how disconcerting that can be as far as distracting that can be for a driver when you know you've got a vibration that you're racing with. Let's check back in with Dave.
And Jeff Gordon is out of the DuPont Chevy right now, the 24 car. He's been out of it for a while as they changed over to race trim. They took, I believe it was 4 mock qualifying runs for Jeff. He was fairly satisfied with it, disappointed with himself on one because, in his words, I missed turn 4. And then on another one, he said, I think that's about right, but we're really good at 1 and 2. We just have to work on finishing the corners. So he and crew chief Alan Gustafson will talk about that in the after hours and see if they can put together that type of setup that Jeff can get all 4 corners right. Andy, do you remember what Doc was talking about 5 minutes ago?
You got to remind me. I think it's something about the rear bar on Kyle Busch's car, and we'll talk about that. You know, there's a difference between, the roll stability of the rear suspension. You can do it with either stiff rear springs or you can do it with soft rear springs and a big rear sway bar. And effectively what that does is kind of decouples the roll rate and the ride rates, and you can make a little speed with that. If you don't need that spoiler sticking way up in the air, you'll put those soft springs in the car and you'll use a rear sway bar to kind of balance the roll stability of the rear.
So Jeff Gordon buckling in, Alan Gustafson waiting to look on at this run. And I want to tie together, we've talked a lot about the track configuration today and teams searching to find handling what's going to work best over the course of the distance of Sunday's race. Track position going to be at a premium, agreed?
Oh, yeah.
Qualifying, pit stop strategy, all that's going to come into play. Fighting for the bottom lane on the racetrack could get to be a big issue in Sunday's race, agreed?
Yeah, I think so. I think you'll see a lot of pushing and shoving in that bottom lane for track position.
So when you're fighting for the bottom lane, that can mean contact between cars and crashes. So now you're Tony Stewart and Carl Edwards, and you understand that. And your thought process going into Sunday's race is what?
Be in front all of it.
Okay.
That's what I'm thinking about.
No, and it will be just what you talked about at the first. First and foremost, they're going to think, okay, we've got to get our race car fast. Then we have to make sure that with our strategy, we keep it up there. We don't want to put our drivers in a predicament that is going to create a situation where they get swept up into somebody else being impatient at times, and we're going to see that. That patience is going to be a key word, and it's going to run thin. We're at the end of the season. We talked about it before Martinsville, and we saw absolutely no patience there by these drivers. So what happens to them on Sunday afternoon here may be kind of the same stuff that we saw there.
I think the biggest thing Sunday to watch for are these restarts. Yeah, I think it's going to be really, really treacherous, and you're going to see a lot of aggressive moves on this narrow groove until it widens out. I think that's where it's going to be really risky for these chasers.
I think one thing that both Carl Edwards and Tony Stewart are going to hope that they're around drivers that they've been nice to most of the year. It might give them a break somewhere along the way.
Well, the problem is that they can be nice to them, but they'll maybe get caught up in some other contact with other competitors on the track. Even if you have a fast car, you're not going to be able to stay up front all day. Yeah. There's going to be people that are going to do that alternate strategy, Alan, like you talked about earlier, and you're not going to be in front all day.
Patience, patience, patience. Going to be at a premium on Sunday. Doc Clint Boyer out of his car. Let's get some thoughts on what he's finding in practice.
And Alan, a moment ago, he was actually under the car here handing tools and working with the guys. What are you working on?
Just trying to get our Cheerios hamburger up with Chevrolet faster. I missed a little bit of the test there and just behind a little bit. Trying to play catch up. Our teammates are really good. Just haven't been able to find a combination that works. Went to the 31 setup. I was way too loose. Went to the 29 setup. I was way too tight. Now we're going to the 27 setup, so hopefully it'll be right. But just track, is really finicky. Anytime they repave a racetrack like this, the tire's really hard. You really bounce on, you teeter-totter on either side of the fence, too tight, too loose. It seems like you're really fighting with grip into the corners, grip off of the corners, and then about the time you get that fixed, you're too tight rolling the center.
As a former dirt track racer, you always seem to love this place. This was a good racetrack for you. How about now?
Yeah, it is a good racetrack, and it always will be a good racetrack. It's just the tire, because of the new, construction of the racetrack, the new surface, the construction of the tire has to be a lot harder, which, creates just a little bit of a... They just, what the feel is they don't have a lot of insurance. They just don't have a lot of give to them. As soon as they break loose, you can bust your butt and get yourself in trouble pretty quick.
Hey, Clint, thanks for your time.
Thanks.
Clint Boyer trying to work, and they are not happy down here. Got a lot to do here on this 33 car to try to get him dialed in, guys.
Doc, thanks. Red flag is out for the first time in today's Sprint Cup practice sessions.
The whole wheel come off? Looks like just a tire has come off, not the wheel.
It needs a car to go attached to. Yeah, it looks like it's, wow.
That car is
strange.
Andy Lally's 71 car that's sitting down there, stopped with the window net down.
And that's strange. I've never seen the tire, the entire casing come off the wheel on the track.
Yeah.
I've seen it, parts of it, but it's like that's the whole tire. Okay, a little contact on the wall.
That could be part of it.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's coming out of turn 4 there.
Oh, yeah, he
wow.
hit it pretty good, too.
Yeah. Maybe we see the reason why it came off. Oh, yeah, just the damage and cut that down. Well, it could have been going down, and that created the situation of him getting into the wall off of turn 4.
Yeah, because, look at the tires intact.
Yeah, there's enough damage on the lip of that wheel that probably allowed that tire casing to come off.
Yeah, come unclenched right there.
That's unusual.
Pretty hard lick for Andy Lally, though.
Yeah.
Doc was talking to Clint Boyer there. I was talking to Clint yesterday during nationwide practice that they had, and he was talking about new racing surfaces, and we were discussing all of that, and I was asking, well, you never raced like at Chicago and Kansas and, back when they did Charlotte, and he was like, no, that's before he said, you are old, aren't you?
I guess I am too, I remember.
By the way, the 71 car in a critical position because outside of the top 35 in owner points, and got to qualify on time. Practice still got some left, but
not a lot of time left here.
That's right, and needing to try and get back in that top 35 in owner points in these final 2 races to have a guaranteed starting spot in the Daytona 500 next February.
Now hard to reach is never out of reach. The next generation Craftsman Auto Hammer. A new articulating head. Superior access. Only Sears has over 25 Next-Tech tools now all on sale. Craftsman. Trust in your hands.
Here's to the pursuit of better, faster, cleaner, funner. Here's to the pursuit of another 100 years of earning America's trust. Not just oil, Pennzoil.
Oh, no, you've got to be kidding me.
Where are you going?
The store. I think I got a virus, and who knows what might happen.
There's a faster way online. PCmatic.com.
PCmatic.com?
PCmatic is a free download that will take care of viruses and a lot more. That's PCmatic.com. Oh, look here. PCmatic found a nasty virus. PCmatic also thinks your computer is slow and probably freezing, right?
It's slow when I restart it about once a week.
PCmatic will fix it all with the click of a button.
This is a lot faster. And the virus is gone.
Online video should be faster, too. PCmatic also boosted your internet speed.
Can PCmatic keep my computer running this way?
PCmatic runs automatically and sends a report to your inbox.
Great. Thanks, honey. You saved me a trip to the store.
I needed the car anyway. Girls' night out.
Honey?
Go to PCmatic.com today for your free download. That's PCmatic.com.
If you need cash now, here's how to get up to $1,500 fast with instant approval and no credit checks. Simply log on to needcash.com. Tell us how much you need, and in minutes, the funds can be wired. It's just that easy and just that fast, regardless of bad credit. Needcash.com is available online 24/7. Log on to needcash.com and see how quickly you can get the cash you need.
Monday, NFC North rivals clash at Lambeau. The undefeated Packers, led by red-hot Aaron Rodgers and his explosive receiving corps, take on the Vikings, powered by Adrian Peterson and sack machine Jared Allen. With A-Rod on pace for a record-breaking season, the defending champs look to continue their historic push for perfection. ESPN Monday Night Football, Vikings-Packers at 8:30.
Time has all but run out in the NHRA countdown to the championship. In Top Fuel and Funny Car, 10 men still have a shot. It's an unprecedented number of contenders looking for racing history. Qualifying on Saturday, the final Sunday at 7.
Looking forward to seeing how it all turns out. The final weekend of the NHRA season, the Automobile Club of Southern California qualifying Saturday, final Sunday here on ESPN2. All wrapped around our coverage of the NASCAR Nationwide Series, second to last race of the season from here in Phoenix. That's Saturday at 3 Eastern, ESPN2. And our coverage of the Kobalt Tools 500, the NASCAR Sprint Cup Series pre-race show, NASCAR Now, 9 a.m. Eastern Time Sunday. Then our coverage of the race starts with NASCAR Countdown. That's on ESPN at 2 Eastern on Sunday. Back underway with practice after Andy Lally car was towed back into the NASCAR Sprint Cup Series garage. Watching Kyle Busch and Denny Hamlin make some laps here at Phoenix. I'm going to say it's going to be a big relief to Kyle Busch to see the green flag in Sunday's race after all of the swirl and news and sitting out last weekend's race. To get behind the wheel and see the green flag wave has got to be a big relief for him.
Yeah, you know, sometimes that's just the place you can kind of go and get away from everything, and I'm sure that Kyle would kind of like to put all that behind him and start a new road here and, you know, make amends as much as he can. But, you know, the one thing that we hope, and I don't think it's going to change him as far as being the aggressive driver he is on the racetrack, just temper those emotions that he has whenever he feels like he's been done wrong there. You know, go talk it out after it's over.
A couple interesting conversations during the weekend. First of all, Kyle Busch's press conference earlier today with Coach Joe Gibbs here at the racetrack. Kyle basically said just that. He didn't want nor expect that it would change him during the race, but that is what he had to learn to manage. Coach said the same thing. Kyle was very thankful that Coach stood by him. And Joe said that's essentially, I'm paraphrasing now and not quoting, but essentially he said that's what I wanted to do. I wanted to stand behind Kyle and see this through.
Yeah, first and foremost, we've all made mistakes, you know. So, you know, maybe a lot of people are saying, well, he's been given second, third, maybe fourth chances here. But, you know, he is an excellent race driver, and there's a lot of things that we all have had to learn through difficult times and situations. And Andy, you know, give him another chance, and let's see. He's great for our sport. Now just make sure you make those changes in your life.
And he's been great for Joe Gibbs Racing, but one thing I've noticed this weekend, I've seen Joe really involved. Yeah. I've seen him in the garage area a lot today. I've seen him on top of the hauler. He's really involved in what's going on out here today. Doc?
Andy, I couldn't say it better myself. Every time I have seen this 18 car come in and out of the garage, Joe Gibbs has come off the top of the hauler down here in the garage area and stood by these guys making changes on the car. When Kyle Busch was in the hauler earlier and came out, a few folks who were here in the garage area went to Kyle and said, hey, sorry about what happened last week. And Kyle very openly said, hey, it was my mistake. I brought it on myself. I'm the one that did it, and totally accepting full responsibility for what happened. Very open, very honest. And now the communication between the 18 car, crew chief Dave Rogers, Joe Gibbs, total focus on getting this car dialed in. From what I'm listening on the radio here a moment ago, it seems like Kyle Busch, the best way he can make up for what happened last week is to get in this car and make it up to Dave Rogers there on the left side of your screen and these guys by going out and maybe winning these final two races of the year.
Doc, thanks. This is not new territory for Coach Gibbs. He's had to find ways in the past to get football players to toe the line, if you will. What's different about this sport is the sponsorships directly affect the competition and the player. And in this case, there are sponsorships involved that directly are impacted by Kyle Busch.
Yeah, they are that. And, of course, now we see Interstate Batteries has stepped up these last 2 races. Certainly understand M&M Mars making the choice to say we need to look at this situation, take us off. But how about Norm and Tommy Miller, who own Interstate Batteries? They were there for Joe Gibbs to start this race team back in 1992. It actually, everything started being put together in 1991. They were there to help Joe. They've stood behind him. They are a huge supporter of Joe Gibbs, and Joe's been great for them too. But to step up here and say, okay, you're in another difficult time here, we're here for you, buddy.
Speaking of difficult times, Jamie McMurray has had a difficult season this season. He posted the fastest lap in this practice session a little while ago, but just went out onto the racetrack. And Dave, did something go wrong in that one car?
It's got no power.
Yeah, you hear him now. He's saying it's got no power. He said it felt like it was blowing up. This was his second qualifying run. They'd been in race trim most of the time. That fast lap was in their first qualifying run, but this was their second. And Jamie said to him, it feels like it's blowing up.
Oh, boy.
Yeah, you can only hope that somewhere in the adjustments they were making, Andy, they might have got into some wiring there or something like that that gives you that feeling. That's the optimistic side.
Yeah, you'd hope that's what it is.
Yes.
And most of the time it's not. But, yeah, that's too bad because they needed something good to happen, and the car's fast today.
Yeah. So, McMurray with the car back in the garage, and Kevin Mannion and the crew will go to work diagnosing what's up with that one car to see if they are going to be forced to change an engine and start at the back on Sunday. Talked about David Ruderman before with a lot on the line in the game of musical chairs, if you will. David Reagan doesn't know if he'll have a seat when they wave that green flag for next year's Daytona 500. Certainly showing some speed in the later portion of this season. Of course, got that big win at Daytona.
Yeah. Looked like they were going to drive themselves maybe up into the top 12 with that victory, too. They got up, I believe, as high as 13th at one time in the standings. And so it's not like that they're just coming on now. But, man, then they had a couple of races to where just had things to go wrong. And the next thing they found themselves battling to stay in the top 20.
Reagan third fastest in the earlier practice session today. Talked to Drew Blickensderfer earlier today, and he basically said, don't know. Just don't know.
That's a smart guy right there.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, he's done a good job for David Reagan and Jack Roush.
Team car Matt Kenseth. Now, Matt knows he's going to be behind the wheel of this 17 car for Roush Fenway Racing, but they don't have sponsorship in place yet for this car.
I can't quite understand that. You know, Matt Kenseth, one of the premier drivers on the circuit, obviously with one of the best teams with Jack Roush.
And talk about somebody that will represent a brand.
Oh, yeah. Great representative. He's only 31st quick in this practice, but he was second in the first one.
Obviously doing a lot of work on race trim here in the 17 in this practice session. Get a little chance to see what's going to be like when you encounter some cars you need to pass on this new Phoenix layout. Follow up on the Jamie McMurray situation in a little bit. He's fastest so far in final practice.
Heavyweights Tony Stewart and Carl Edwards stand toe-to-toe with only 3 points separating the two drivers in the fight for the Cup. Smoke delivered a heavy blow at Texas, winning another big chase race and putting the points leader on the ropes. Now, with just 2 races remaining to crown a champion, the gloves are coming off. The chase continues with the Kobalt Tools 500 at Phoenix, Sunday at 2 Eastern on ESPN.
When you dine out, you come to Cece's. And when you dine at home, you still come to Cece's. Picking up boxes bountiful in pizza, but never in price. Look who's got life figured out. Right now, carry out 3 medium pizzas for just $9.99.
Chris Angel has amazed millions with the most successful magic series in the history of television. And now he will teach you some of his greatest secrets. Introducing the award-winning Chris Angel Platinum Magic Kit with over 250 incredible illusions that will amaze and astonish and are easy to learn.
Try close.
With the Chris Angel Platinum Magic Kit, you can be a mind freak too.
These are the most amazing tricks ever.
And the color you're thinking of is concentrate red.
No, how
it's so easy to learn.
Get the Chris Angel Platinum Magic Kit for 2 payments of $14.99. But wait, that's not all. If you order, Chris Angel will personally teach you how to perform one of his many levitations. Here's how to order.
Call 1-800-790-3908. Don't wait, call now.
Oh my God, what cry?
I'm gonna grab some more munchies. Be back in a sec. Cool.
What's up, Clay Matthews? You want a piece of me? This ain't over, punk! Whoa, I see you met my Clay Matthews fathead.
Real big fathead. Get yours at fathead.com.
Must have been great to see all those drivers back in the day.
Son, it was. I have memories when I was your age, watching the legends battle it out every week.
Mom, it's here!
Final practice, NASCAR Sprint Cup Series at Phoenix. 45 minutes of track time left. You're looking at Jamie McMurray, who has the fastest lap in this practice. Dave, what's the story under the hood of this one car?
Well, you see the guy in the blue there under the hood. That is Danny Lawrence, and he runs the Earnhardt Childress Racing Engines program, the engines that these guys use. Danny told me he believes it's a fuel issue, like the engine is not properly receiving fuel. If I only had a guy with an engine and could show me all this and that. Oh, we do. It's Tim Brewer in the Craftsman Tech Garage. Tim, what are the potential problems for an engine that's starved of fuel?
Basically, the cable that manipulates the pump itself, because the rear firewall is where the pump is located, but the cable runs all the way through the car, and it's actually driven off the rear of the engine, off the camshaft. And if this cable is not hooked up to this pump, you see this insert right here? It goes in and is actually spinning by the camshaft movement. But there again, if that pump's not putting fuel to the front of the car, first thing I'd check is the cable. Guys.
All right, Tim, thanks. So Danny Lawrence on the prowl down there in the garage around that one car. And we'll follow up and see. Of course, remember, if they have to change the engine, it's to the back for the green flag on Sunday for Jamie McMurray.
Jamie still has his helmet on, so he's optimistic they can get it fixed. Get back out.
He's hoping anyway.
Yeah.
Casey Kane. Talked about him a lot these last couple of months.
That car has been so fast. You know, I'm really surprised that he hasn't pulled it into victory lane this year. Still got a couple more chances, though.
4 of his 7 top 5 finishes this year have come in the last 6 races. It's pretty good.
Especially for a team that's really in a real lame duck situation over there, Red Bull.
Yeah.
Knowing they're not going to be there and able to still bring really fast cars every week.
Jimmy Johnson, 3rd fastest lap in this final practice. Watching to see if he's still on that same shower of sparks plan through here.
I'm not sure he's in qualifying trim anymore.
Yeah,
he still sees some sparks. I don't think he's making simulated qualifying runs now.
But they've made a lot of runs.
Oh, yeah, you can see all the little dots on the grill.
Is a lot of track time here this weekend compared to the norm for teams with, first of all, the schedule with all the practice on Friday and just the qualifying Saturday, and second of all, with the new configuration and new surface here at Phoenix. A little bit of extra track time for the teams to try and sort it out, and rightfully so.
Yeah, there's been a car on the track since, I think, 8 o'clock this morning here at Phoenix.
Carl Edwards.
Carl's had a lot of track time. He was in the Nationwide car here. They had about 4 hours yesterday afternoon. Then back and forth between the Cup car and the Nationwide Series car today.
Oh, there's your new fastest lap right there.
Yeah, by a good bit. Carl Edwards.
140 miles an hour plus for Edwards. 25.66 for the man who just set the track qualifying record for Sprint Cup cars at this speedway back in February.
He's not ready to give it up, is he?
Just a tick slower on that second lap.
77. That's P1, bud.
How about it, Doc?
Yeah, how about that? Look at Bob Johnson, left side of the screen. They came in and made one qualifying run, came back in, made an adjustment on the car. Carl was actually out of the car for about 7 or 8 minutes. They made an adjustment to get the car dialed in and free him up a little bit, and you saw the result right there. Carl has actually won the last 2 poles here at Phoenix International Raceway, including that track record run here back in February. This lap here, much faster than the current record he holds. And I don't think they're done, guys. They may come back in and work a little more to find some more speed. The idea was this, to run the first part of this session with all race set up, to run the last part of this session with qualifying set up, and then leave the car dialed in for qualifying when Carl climbs out here in a few minutes. But how about that lap for Carl Edwards?
Pretty fast. I like that plan, too. I like ending the session with the qualifying run because that's the next thing they're going to do.
All right, so Tony Stewart showing with the 30th fastest lap so far. His rival for the title is now atop the board. What are they doing on this run for the 14, Dave? Looks like that grill's still open.
Yeah, still working race trim right now. And, you know, the times may not be way up there on the chart, but I think one of the crew members I spoke to a few minutes ago may have characterized it best for this driver and his mindset. He said, you know what? We look at that board, and that's not what we're worried about. The driver is happy, and that means a whole lot more.
He's run a lot of laps. He's got about 60 laps so far on the board, and that tells me that he's been pretty happy with it.
More practice laps than anybody so far for Tony Stewart.
Yeah, and his 61st lap is his fastest so far today.
Yeah,
in the session.
Quickest, yeah. It's nice to have a driver that knows what he's looking for like that and can sometimes say, okay, even though we know we need speed, we're working in the right direction. Don't worry about that. I'll get that whenever we get everything right. We get some tires back on here and put all of these changes that we've been making, put all the good ones there, and then we've got something.
It is going to be an interesting afternoon here Sunday. See how the race overall plays out, what kind of strategy twists, what kind of incidents might wrinkle up some people's feelings, and how this championship that has been so terrific between these two the last couple of weeks turns out here after this race on Sunday and what we have going forward to Homestead, Miami for the finale.
And just watching Tony's lap times, they're super consistent. I mean, they're falling off just a little bit lap to lap, but not much.
You know, it's interesting. Dale, you've been in the position before you get into a championship and people want to talk about how you're driving the final races and so on. Well, when you're in a spot where you've got a lead that you're protecting, or, you know, you're in one of those 15th or better jobs for the finale, that's if the other guy goes out and earns max points, that's one thing. But these two guys are running head-to-head, and Tony Stewart said, I'm not changing a thing. I'm going out to win both of these races and take the championship, not waiting for somebody to give it to me.
Well, if he goes and wins these races, he knows that he's going to be the champion. You know, things are that close. He knows if he wins this race on Sunday, that the very worst he's going to come out of here is in pretty much a tie. And so that's just what you have to do. And that's the mindset that Tony has and will continue to have.
Now, a lot of folks want to know, all right, how can Tony have won 4 of 8 races and still not be ahead of Carl in the championship when basically they started within 3 points or 3 places on the racetrack of each other? Well, the answer is in that average finish number. Carl Edwards' worst finish in this chase is 11th. And when Tony Stewart hasn't been winning, he hasn't been finishing in the top 5, and he's got a couple of finishes that are down there a good bit.
Yeah, even though you see Carl Edwards with that 5.6, which is absolutely great for 8 races, and Tony's 7.4, he's got more bonus points. That adds up. And what you see there, basically, these two drivers have scored the same amount of points in these 8 races. They started all 3 points apart. That's where they are right now.
Should be fun.
And scored them in 2 different ways.
Yep.
Carl by being consistent. Tony by winning 4 out of 8. His final 2 should be something to watch.
Set me free from interruptions and slow down.
We're CenturyLink. We're committed to improving lives and linking Americans to what matters most. With honest personal service, 5-year price lock guarantees, consistently fast speeds, and more ways to customize your technology.
Oh, give me freedom.
I've been one of those seats.
We parked the bus in one of the best places in sport. Lambeau Field, Green Bay, Wisconsin, the undefeated Super Bowl champion Packers.
14 straight wins. That Packer crowd will be rocking. Only thing I can't remember Green Bay doing is going undefeated, but they just might.
Maybe they won't. Division rivalry. Minnesota Vikings, a week off. They'll be ready to roll in this matchup.
Are your credit cards maxed out? Just making minimum payments or even behind on your bills? Freedom Debt Relief's mission is to help you get rid of your credit card debt.
After my divorce, I had $17,000 in credit card debt. Freedom Debt Relief settled all 7 of my credit card bills with one low monthly program payment.
This is a unique program that will get you relief and on your way to resolving your debt. Make the most important call of your life today.
Call Freedom Debt Relief now at 1-800-324-8991. That's 1-800-324-8991.
If you like video games, you need to be a member of GameFly.
Join GameFly. Choose the games you want online, get them in the mail, and send them back when you're done.
Due dates? None. Late fees? Non-existent.
I have access to every single game I could possibly imagine, and I get it for a low cost.
Go to GameFly.com now. Click the joystick in the top right corner. Enter World in the box and get started with a free extended trial. And remember, you can cancel at any time. Product shown rated E through M.
You have to have this service. You call yourself a gamer, you have to have it.
Saturday got a great day of college football. Kicking off at noon Eastern on ABC. Most will see number 2 ranked Oklahoma State visit Texas Tech, others West Virginia and Cincinnati. The game not on ABC in your area will be streaming live on WatchESPN.com and the Watch ESPN app. College football lives here. Who we riding with? Kevin Harvick.
Gives you a really good view of the groove and how this track is laid out. Well, they get to the wall really quick off turn 2, but boy, that back straightaway does have a big kink in it.
Every time we're on board with somebody and they run through that section of the track, I want to just like dip my knees down and stand back up again because they're making that little roll downhill and back up again. Drivers all talking about what this feels like from the seat.
Yeah, they have a lot more room getting off of turn 2. A lot of speed right there to that dip. The roller coaster ride, as these drivers are calling it. A lot of RPMs being turned down in the end of these straightaways.
RPMs. Leading us to a discussion with Tim Brewer in our Craftsman Tech garage of things to watch out for when you're turning a lot of RPMs.
Yeah, AB, when you come to a race like this and you have a lot of practice times, the cycles that the engine turns, meaning the hours on the racetrack. What we're really scared of and conscientious of are the valve springs. After the cars run the practice session today, when they go back, the guys are going to fill them up with fuel, scale them, and then everybody's going to get away from the race car. That's when we're going to turn the engine over to the engine guys, and they're going to remove all the valve springs on the engine, look down inside the engine at all the lifters, the camshaft, because the valve train here is going to take quite a beating turning all the RPMs, and you still have to run 312 miles to win the race here in Phoenix. Guys?
Yeah, that's probably the weakest link in an engine is the valve spring. And it gets stressed the highest of anything. And NASCAR does allow them to change those. They can After this session, like Tim said, they'll take the valve covers off and they'll change those valve springs and put a fresh batch on for the race.
Yeah, and as Tim mentioned there, the good side of it is, for the rest of the engine parts, is it is only 312 miles. So it's not like, even though we talked about the Kobalt Tools 500, that's 500 kilometers. So it's not as long a race as we see some of these 500 and 600 mile races.
But it is still a solid 3-hour job, and it's not an easy race.
No. It is a full day's work, and will be probably even more so, more stressful this Sunday than any in recent history here at Phoenix.
A lot of strong grip on the steering wheel.
Absolutely.
Watching Kurt Busch, who will hope by that speed rank in this final practice is working mostly on race runs in this 22 car.
Yeah, you'd hope so. He's down in the 30s. Just moved up to 25th on that lap. That car looks like it's handling pretty well, Doc. What are they saying?
Andy, I couldn't have said it better myself. That's exactly what they're thinking down here. Steve Addington, they feel like the car was very consistent in the first session today. Didn't have really a lot of agenda to deal with here in the final session. Wanted to work on race setup. Only minor tweaks and changes here. Nothing major. No major complaints from Kurt Busch. He said the car didn't want to turn real well early in this session, but now the car very consistent. Again, this is totally race setup. They feel like they got something good for the race day on Sunday.
Well, Doc, thanks. So Kurt Busch moving up the board with this run. Now up to 19th fastest.
Yeah, that car looks very balanced. I was just watching some of those shots through the middle of the corner. Not a lot of wheel in it. Not a lot of steering input. Looks like it's rolling the center of the corner real well.
I'd say we're at the time that people are starting to put on some tires and put all of their pieces that they've learned here, back from the test session to everything that they've learned here today in the 2 practice sessions, and trying to make their best run and seeing if that's exactly what they need.
You can see the brake rotors on Kenseth's car glowing a little bit. Sun's kind of setting or getting to that time of day, and you can see how much heat that they put into these brakes. This is one of those tracks that is a very high braking track. Getting down into turn 1, carry a ton of speed down the front straightaway, and you got to get the car woke in the middle of 1 and 2.
Yeah, you want to be off of them as you get down into the corner. You brake hard initially, but then you want to get off of them. Let the car work from that point. Carrying a lot of speed through the center translates to a lot of speed on the exit.
Some 160 miles an hour into the corner on a mile track. Look at that Mark Martin left front rotor there. He's down on the apron now, coming back in. Haven't really talked about Mark much today, but not blazing speed on this 5 car that we've seen in either practice. Updating the Kyle Busch story, Doc.
Well, we told you about the saga this morning about how little practice they got. They were behind when this session started, and the car was loose and it wouldn't turn in the corners in 3 and 4. They made an adjustment. And here's what Kyle had to say after the previous run on the radio.
Chattered the right rear tire. Then as soon as it was done chattering the right rear tire, it was still chattering the right rear tire and also tight. So I have no idea what to communicate to you.
Now, they came back in a moment ago after he said that to Dave Rogers. They changed the rear bar on the car and changed the nose weight, went back out, and felt like after a 4 or 5 lap run, they were running consistent laps close to what the 4 car of Casey King was running. So they figured, you know what? That's where we are for race setup. We don't have a lot of time. So if this were a football game right now, they would be going into what's called the no huddle. They are hustling right now to change the car over to look at qualifying setup. They are cooling the car down. They're taping it off. They're going to get to change the nose weight even more to let him go out and run a qualifying run. Basically going with the setup that they've used on the 11 car earlier in this session. Good to have a teammate, particularly when you don't have a lot of time left here in this session, guys.
Yeah, the only problem with that no huddle offense in NASCAR, Doc, is they don't let you call a timeout. They've only got 30 more minutes, and they're going to end it.
All right, so we'll see what they get done here with this audible on the 18
Is that
car.
where we're going with this now?
And even though they're going to be starting at the rear, there is still pit selection by getting in a good qualifying run.
Yep.
And because the pits here can be difficult if you don't get in the right spot.
Juan Pablo Montoya on the racetrack. By the way, Jamie McMurray just came back out and made another run. So problem solved apparently on the 1 car because his lap times were very good. while we were getting the update on Kyle Busch. '42 car of Montoya.
It's 42nd. Now you have to look a long way down to see.
That's why I was hesitating there. Wait a minute, where is he? Another team that just has not had a good season.
Just a minute ago, the one car was first, and he was 42nd.
Car numbers 1 and 42.
Get it?
How about McMurray, Dave?
It's funny, you said the times were good, Alan, so I checked real quick. I show that the last run was a 25.85, and his best run was a 25.82. Do you show something similar upstairs?
Sir.
Okay, so it is good. I'm glad they didn't have an issue. I grabbed Danny Lawrence real quick and asked him if he knew what it was exactly. He said, you know, we changed up a bunch of stuff. He said, ask me a little later. I'll be able to tell you exactly what it was that we think was wrong. But he did confirm that he still thought it was fuel delivery related, but they changed a, quote, bunch of stuff.
Okay.
Well, Danny Lawrence has been around a long time, and he knows there's not time to go out there and be trying one thing at a time. They'll worry about exactly what the problem was. You change all those things you think could be related and hope that that fixed it. And apparently it did.
Now, in a test session, you would do that in order to try to find exactly what it was, but you don't have that time and luxury right now.
A little twitch there for the 48 car when Jimmy Johnson went back full throttle, maybe?
Yeah, I think we're going to see a lot of that from these drivers and the cars, especially on Sunday, as we talk about they have to start these things out pretty free at the beginning of a run so that they're not too tight and losing a lot of time in the center of the corner as they...
Well, that thing's not too tight from what I see.
Sliding around, huh?
Yeah.
That's not something we hear too much of from this 48 cars. Jimmy complaining about it being too tight.
Andy, track temperature, new pavement. Going to be a big factor.
Whoa, wait a minute. Let's see if he wrecks something first.
Yeah.
Well, track temperature is definitely going to affect speed. Today it's been fairly consistent. We've had some overcasts. We've seen some fluctuation in temperature and track temp. You see right there, we've got 6 degrees since
start of the final
practice. Yeah, so it's not changing a ton. You see air temp's only 3 degrees.
Sunday expected to be a somewhat overcast day, so we'll see how the weather plays into the track conditions. No, Jimmy Johnson didn't wreck it. He's driven it back in.
The Cowboys travel to Texas Tech, needing just 3 more wins for a likely spot in the national championship game. College football regional action, Saturday. Oklahoma State, Texas Tech, or West Virginia, Cincinnati. Noon Eastern on ABC or ESPN3. College football lives here.
If you have gout and think a few attacks a year are all you have to worry about, think again. Fact is, gout can attack silently even between flares. You may not feel it, but gout's root cause, high uric acid, can allow crystals to continuously form and build up in your joints. Over time, this may lead to attacks in other joints, constant pain, and joint destruction. So don't wait. Get more information at goutinfo.com and talk with your doctor about ways to keep your uric acid at a lower, healthy level.
When it's your meal ticket, when it's your statement, protect it with Prestone. Engineering lasting relationships between cars and owners since 1927. When you own it, Prestone it.
Now hard to reach is never out of reach. The next generation Craftsman Auto Hammer. A new articulating head. Superior access. Only Sears has over 25 Nextech tools now all on sale. Craftsman. Trust in your hands.
If you need cash now, here's how to get up to $1,500 fast with instant approval and no credit checks. Simply log on to needcash.com. Tell us how much you need, and in minutes the funds can be wired. It's just that easy and just that fast, regardless of bad credit. Needcash.com is available online 24/7. Log on to needcash.com and see how quickly you can get the cash you need.
Welcome to Las Vegas. Please proceed to the baggage claim on the lower level.
Yeah, NASCAR is back all right. Be there when the cars and the stars return to Las Vegas to celebrate another great year of racing. The 2011 NASCAR Sprint Cup Series Champions Week. Fast, fun, loud, perfect.
Saturday Night Football on ABC featuring a top 10 showdown in the West. Andrew Luck and the Stanford Cardinals with their undefeated record on the line when they host the Michael James and the Oregon Ducks. It's Saturday Night Football presented by Southwest Airlines. 8 Eastern, 5 Pacific. College football lives here. Final practice for the NASCAR Sprint Cup Series ongoing for the second to last race of the season. Race Sunday at 2 Eastern on ESPN. Carl Edwards, Tony Stewart going toe-to-toe for the championship. This new Phoenix pavement and configuration going to challenge the drivers and teams to, first of all, get through the day.
Yeah.
And second of all, get through the day at the front of the pack.
I'm sorry, Tony Stewart's run 82 laps. Yeah. That's a lot of laps.
I was just going to say, you have to wonder, we talked about, is this going to be a strategy race and how it all plays out? Well, does that play into Tony Stewart's favor because of what we've seen them do in the chase? Be a little bit better on the strategies with a couple of victories there and doing things right, whether it's 2 tires or the fuel strategy. They've been on the right side of it so far.
Tony going for 3rd straight win, something he's never done in his NASCAR Sprint Cup career. Jimmy Johnson's back at it, Andy.
Yeah, they just came in and changed tires. We saw them put a new set of tires on in the garage and probably made a little adjustment for that loose condition we saw right before they looked like I almost crashed the car.
Yes,
See,
look out. Look out.
It's not much better, though. Man, that scared me.
Oh, it's still sparking back there. You'd have thought they had worn that out, whatever that is, by now. Worn it down.
You think?
Man, I'm telling you, that's big time loose. And that's the thing. I think they're trying to experiment to see just how free can they stand this early part of the run on tires.
Because
Look, this thing is just free, man.
Because they know over the course of a run, the car is going to jump that side of the handling coin and wind up with the front end not behaving like they want it.
Yeah, and it's going to do it pretty quick, too. I'm talking about 2 or 3, 4 laps before this loose condition will go away, and then you're going to be dealing, like you said, Alan, with a tight car.
Yeah, but you got to be careful. If you get the thing that loose where he can't use the throttle on the exit of the corner, then you're going to start getting past, and that's going to lead to a possible freight train situation. So how much do you give up there? Because it's going to be more difficult then to come back and pass them later.
And just watching his lap times, he picked up a couple of tenths that lap from the lap before. It's still really free. And that's by himself. Like I said, Dale, if you're in a group of cars, that's hard to control a car like that.
If anybody's going to hang on to it and work that wheel, 5-time champ would be one who'd get my vote.
So Kyle Busch said they were going to switch over to their qualifying type setup. They did that. He's up to the 3rd spot now.
And Jimmy's still working on it. Still throwing those sparks off, too.
See, it's settled down a little bit now, hasn't it?
Yeah, but you still see him turn the wheel back to the right. Of course, you know, you're on the exit of the corner. Once you get to a certain point there, you do want to be feeding the wheel back.
Well, that's his fastest lap so far on this run, was that last one. So it is getting better and better.
So Jimmy Johnson about to complete his 50th lap of this practice. Denny Hamlin. Got to look a ways down the board to find that number 11, Doc.
And they have been battling some issues being very, very tight off of turn 2 and turn 4, Alan. Particularly the last run they had very tight coming off of turn 4, but they're running out of time, so they had to, like Kyle did a moment ago, they have been switching over, taping the car up, switching the nose weight and things over to get ready to go out for a qualifying run. You know, Toyota has never won a pole or a Sprint Cup race here at Phoenix International Raceway, so they were hoping to be able to make some inroads this weekend. DJ just mentioned a moment ago that Kyle had gone out in that qualifying setup and was P3. He just pulled back in, and now Denny, with essentially the same setup, is going to go out. Kyle has just come back in. Pretty pleased overall with what he did with qualifying. Much better than he had on a race setup. But they're going to send Denny out and see if he can improve on what Kyle just ran. Maybe get these Joe Gibbs cars up in the top 5 in terms of starting spot. Dave.
Paul Menard quickest on the board right now. Alan, is that holding at the moment? I believe it is. That was the first of Paul's qualifying runs. They're going to make another one right here, but they've been in race trim most of the session, and that was their very first one. And Alan, the thing that I noticed was comparing Paul Menard's time right now to the track record. It's like 0.7 of a second quicker. It's going to be a fast qualifying run tomorrow, I believe.
Yes, sir. In fact, in the first practice session today, Dave, 23 cars were faster than the track record. If the late Tom Carnegie were here announcing the qualifying on the PA tomorrow, like he did for so many years at the Indianapolis Motor Speedway, we'd hear that famed new track record a lot of times, I think. Carl Edwards. Hey, I want to go back to the whole war of words or mind games or whatever you want to call it between Tony and Carl, okay? Here's another thing Tony said the other day as referencing Carl. He was asked if his experience, Stewart's, in having won 2 championships was any kind of an advantage and how. Tony said, it is an advantage, but I'm not going to tell you why. I'm going to wait till after Homestead, and then I'll tell you how it helped me win this championship. Is he just messing with Carl or what?
Yeah, Carl's thinking, what is it I don't know?
I'm sure Carl's getting a big kick out of it, but Tony is playing this everything right. I mean, he's saying the right things and doing all the right things, and obviously he's able to go out on the racetrack and back all of it up.
Yep.
There are things, you know, as a former champion, that someone that hasn't been there, you know, they haven't done that. So there are advantages to being in that situation, and Tony being there twice, winning the championship.
And essentially gave it the that's for me to know and you to find out. Edwards, second fastest in final practice.
Oh, no, you've got to be kidding me.
Where are you going?
The store. I think I got a virus, and who knows what might happen.
There's a faster way online. PCmatic.com.
PCmatic.com?
PCmatic is a free download that will take care of viruses and a lot more. That's PCmatic.com. Oh, look here. PCmatic found a nasty virus. PCmatic also thinks your computer is slow and probably freezing, right?
It's slow when I restart it about once a week.
PCmatic will fix it all with the click of a button.
This is a lot faster. And the virus is gone.
Online video should be faster, too. PCmatic also boosted your internet speed.
Can PCmatic keep my computer running this way?
PCmatic runs automatically and sends a report to your inbox.
Great. Thanks, honey. You saved me a trip to the store.
I needed the car anyway. Girls' night out.
Honey?
Go to PCmatic.com today for your free download. That's PCmatic.com.
Hey fans, customize my gear, only at the NASCAR.com Superstore.
Monday, NFC North rivals clash at Lambeau. The undefeated Packers, led by red-hot Aaron Rodgers and his explosive receiving corps, take on the Vikings, powered by Adrian Peterson and sack machine Jared Allen. With A-Rod on pace for a record-breaking season, the defending champs look to continue their historic push for perfection. ESPN Monday Night Football. Vikings-Packers at 8:30.
I've been one of those seats.
Are your credit cards maxed out? Just making minimum payments or even behind on your bills? Freedom Debt Relief's mission is to help you get rid of your credit card debt.
After my divorce, I had $17,000 in credit card debt. Freedom Debt Relief settled all 7 of my credit card bills with one low monthly program payment.
This is a unique program that will get you relief and on your way to resolving your debt. Make the most important call of your life today.
Call Freedom Debt Relief now at 1-800-324-8991. That's 1-800-324-8991.
Lights are on at Phoenix International Raceway as the sun begins to set over the western mountains. I won't give you the line about our heroes riding off into the sunset. But it would make a good Western flick on Sunday afternoon, the second to last race of the season for the NASCAR Sprint Cup Series here at Phoenix International Raceway.
Well, there's the fastest guy so far. He's setting sail down the back stretch.
Thank you.
Can't call it straight away.
Couldn't call it that way before they did some of the track modifications here, but Paul Menard looking for win number 2 on the season after the big victory at the Indianapolis Motor Speedway.
He's got a fast lap. That's a 25:51 is the quickest. He just ran a 25:68 on that lap.
Those the lights coming on, the temperature cooling a little bit, teams tracking all of that information. I was watching Paul to see if he did kind of like a flying entry to pit road, new entrance to pit road, if you will, for drivers to get used to. Also, if they get some green flag pit stops on Sunday.
Yeah, a lot more room than what used to be with the wall back up before there, and so looks totally different and a lot more room for them to negotiate this.
Downstairs in the garage with the 99 team.
You can get me a real clean towel. Wet it down real good with water. I just got something in my eye.
Not unheard of, even with that shield down behind the wheel of a race car, is it?
No, certainly out here where wind blows a lot of dust at times, and even with the new track surface stuff coming up off of there. So number of things.
Bits and pieces of rubber flying around off the race cars and so on, and Carl Edwards trying to rinse something out of his eyes. You ever have that happen to you during a race?
Yes, I have. Very uncomfortable feeling. I'm sure there's people that question if it happened a number of times whenever they have gotten into them or something.
You claimed it did anyway.
Well, something happened.
Something affected your vision while you were racing? I got it. Well, Tony Stewart in that 14 car and Carl Edwards in that 99 car have put on quite a show for those of us observing this chase for the NASCAR Sprint Cup. Stewart winning the last 2, winning 2 straight, twice in this chase, and 4 of the 8 races that have been run so far. But Edwards being the master of the great save 3 different times, coming back and getting a great finish out of what looked like a difficult day or difficult circumstances. Worst finish of 11th so far, and every week Carl is right there somewhere. What a thrilling run last Sunday at Texas. First and second. Decided the race on that late restart between the 2 of them as they continue to fight it out.
Isn't that the way it's supposed to be, though? Race it out on the track. I love this new point system. Look at them. They're backing out of the garage at the same time. No, they're not.
I don't think one of the M1 cars going anywhere with all those wrenches in it.
Yeah, and you know, we saw them joking around a lot before the race last week. I'm not sure if things hadn't taken a little different tone here now. We're down to 2 races. It's getting serious time. You know, it's time to go try to win this and see what can happen. We're looking at Tony here now. But, you know, we saw Carl Edwards' average there a while ago, just over average finish of 5. You think about everything that he's gone through, some races, Alan, you were pointing that out to where it seems like it was a miracle finish. And he also leads all the chasers with, you know, 4 free passes in this thing. So he's had to come back from adversity a lot more, but he's made the most of it each and every time.
And after the win by Stewart at Martinsville, they went to Texas Motor Speedway last Sunday for race 8 in the chase, and it came down to that late restart. Stewart on the outside of Edwards. He told us just before, if I can get clear of him on the restart, I think I can win this race. He did just that. Got clear. Stewart and Edwards, 1 and 2 last Sunday in Texas. What will it be this Sunday here in Phoenix?
Here's to the pursuit of better, faster, cleaner, funner. Here's to the pursuit of a Pennzoil motor oil so advanced, Elio uses it straight from the bottle in his Indy car. Here's to the pursuit of another 100 years of earning America's trust. Not just oil, Pennzoil. Enter for a chance to win at participating AutoZone locations or at Pennzoil.com.
People think because I spend all my weekends at the racetrack, my life is predictable. Actually, things are constantly changing. And whether I need to protect my ATV, my truck, a new home, cover my home away from home, Having life insurance or a growing business? With Nationwide Insurance, I can bundle them together and save. You can too, up to 25%. So call Nationwide Insurance today to bundle and save.
Nationwide is on your side. Call 866-500-5555.
If you like video games, you need to be a member of GameFly.
Join GameFly. Choose the games you want online, get them in the mail, and send them back when you're done.
Due dates? None. Late fees? Non-existent.
I have access to every single game I could possibly imagine, and I get it for a low cost.
Go to GameFly.com now. Click the joystick in the top right corner. Enter World in the box and get started with a free extended trial. And remember, you can cancel at any time. Product shown rated E through M.
You have to have this service. You call yourself a gamer, you have to have it.
Heavyweights Tony Stewart and Carl Edwards stand toe-to-toe with only 3 points separating the two drivers in the fight for the cup. Smoke delivered a heavy blow at Texas, winning another big chase race and putting the points leader on the ropes. Now, with just 2 races remaining to crown a champion, the gloves are coming off. The chase continues with the Kobalt Tools 500 at Phoenix, Sunday at 2 Eastern on ESPN.
This copyrighted telecast may not be reproduced, retransmitted, or used in any form without the authorized written consent of NASCAR Broadcasting. NASCAR would like to thank all of our loyal fans for your continued support, and we hope you enjoyed today's broadcast.
NASCAR Sprint Cup Final Practice is brought to you by Papa John's. Earn free pizza fast with double Papa rewards every weekend. Only at papajohns.com.
Getting down to it. The final moments of the final practice for the NASCAR Sprint Cup Series before Sunday's second to last race of the chase for the NASCAR Sprint Cup. Joey Logano, Kurt Busch, trying to see if they can run side by side at all. I don't think they were intending to find that out, but there was a moment there where they could have. So update Tony Stewart and Carl Edwards. Dave?
Well, just checked in with the crew. They took a long time. In fact, you saw how long our cameras were trained on the 14 while I was in here, and still in race trim, so not putting up the big numbers on the board. Confirmed with the crew that it was a lot of change for a very small feel in the race car. Still working on getting a little bit more turn in the race car. They may have been moving the rear end over or doing something like that, but complicated change to get a little bit more out of it. And one other thing they noted when I was talking to them, these track temperatures is now down to about 71 degrees. They probably won't be this cool when we race on Sunday. So right now, the information you get, you got to quantify it against the track temperatures that may be the coolest of the weekend. Dr. Punch?
Okay, thank you, Dave. Tony's still on the racetrack, and beside him there is the 99 car, and they are done for the day. Final practice session over for Carl Edwards. As we mentioned before, they began this session working on race setup. They finished it, dialed in for qualifying. Carl out of the car there talking to some of the engineers at the front of the car. He will finish this session P2, second quickest overall. Although he holds the track record here and has been on the pole the last 2 Sprint Cup races, he is not the fastest in this session. But right now, what Carl said when he got out of the car a moment ago, guys, we have a great race car for the race on Sunday and a really good car for qualifying tomorrow. He was praising the crew. Right now, just sort of dialing it in as Tony pulls back in here in the final minutes of this session. Guys?
Yeah, I saw Tony Stewart's crew. It looked like they were playing with the trailing arms, rear suspension arms. That last change, that means they're trying a lot of different, they've gotten a lot of different changes in and a ton of laps this practice. You can see right there their records, Edwards and Stewart, pretty close to the same. I mean, you don't see a lot of difference there.
No, and how will it be on this adapted Phoenix layout with the new pavement, the new progressive banking and the turns, that changed dogleg out on the backside of the racetrack? How will it be this time is very much an unknown. If the old patterns will apply or if not. Casey Kane in the 4 car. See what kind of a number he might be able to put up, unless Kevin Harvick cost him a little bit of time there.
Casey Kane's got close to 100 laps. Put up 93 laps in this practice. 94 with that lap. If you look at 15 lap averages, 10 lap averages, and the 5 lap averages, Casey Kane is at the top of all of those.
That is the one to watch. Following up, 71 car Andy Lally brought out the only caution of the practices so far today when he slapped the wall off of turn number 4. That is the damaged car. They have gone to a backup, and it is being worked on back in the garage, as you can see, and they'll have to get in that one tomorrow. And Lally will have to try and qualify it, it looks like, without the benefit of any practice time on that machine. This, the incident earlier, into the wall off turn 4. And the damage for the Long Island native. Big challenge ahead as he must qualify on time for Sunday's race.
It's going to be tough. First lap's in the car, trying to get everything right. And one of the biggest things is keeping it from maybe dragging the splitter or something underneath.
Yeah, it's really going to be a tough task.
Yep. And one other final story to pay off as we watch Tony Stewart make a lap. Kyle Busch, remember the engine change earlier today. If you weren't with us for our coverage of the first practice session, Kyle back in the car after being parked last week. Then they had to change an engine before they really got going in practice at all. He'll have to start at the back of the field for Sunday's race, but they have made 83, now 84 laps in this practice, and Kyle with the 5th fastest lap overall in this happy hour session. Don't forget, tomorrow, NASCAR Nationwide Series action comes your way on ESPN2 starting at 3 Eastern Time. Stenhouse and Sadler continuing their fight for the championship. The season finale for the NHRA, the Automobile Club of Southern California Finals, qualifying tomorrow, finals Sunday on ESPN2. And then Sunday, we get you ready for the second to last race in the chase with NASCAR Now pre-race edition, 9 a.m. Eastern Sunday morning, and the Kobalt Tools 500 at Phoenix, ESPN2 on Sunday. Final practice done at Phoenix.